Barbershop conversations, man. I said we would do it next week. And next week took a little bit longer than we both wanted,
Probably
but
about a couple, almost a year and a half or so.
we're back with the most important, the inevitable, man. Alif Muhammad, man. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. Thank you for asking. And how you doing? I'll be watching you, boy. You something else. But let me big you up. This is the on my live. I'm on my live. This is Ali from Barbershop Fred. Now I met him. Remember I did the famous Malcolm X YouTube that we got over 16, 17 views and stuff. It was intense. It was so intense that I would give it to people to study when they were talking to me about situation. But this gentleman is very, very controversial on not just on Malcolm X, on everything. I mean, he says some things sometimes. I'm like, damn, man. And guess what we pick on sometimes, guys? I'm talking to my people. He took on Shakur, and everybody know I love Shakur.
I was gonna ask you about that.
Yeah, I want to talk about him. But I want to give him big ups. And why I want to give him big ups is because he's a young man. Well, he ain't young, but he's younger than me. Came from New York and everything. He became very popular with the YouTube and the fight business and everything. And then what I like about him is that he's successful. And I like the idea that he shows his success, not just financially, but also with his family, you know, with his wife, with his children, even some kids, I think his nephew and them, you know, he brought them in his house. So, you know, you can appreciate not just the success. Everybody can appreciate money sometimes. Oh, that guy's rich and stuff. When you see a guy's character, but he's not an easy guy to get along with, man. You know, I'm telling you, because he says some controversial things. I'll be just laughing sometimes. But go ahead, Fred. I'm glad to see you, man.
Oh no. Thank you for having us, and thank you to your audience for tuning in now and in the future. Well, we might as well just talk about Shakur Stevenson, man. I know you're from Brick City. Shakur is from Brick City, but now he lives down there in Houston.
Yeah.
Let
me give you our history.
Go ahead, because you know his uncle or his grandfather, correct?
Grandfather. Yes. His grandfather. I knew his grandfather when he was a teenager. His grandfather was a martial artist, and when it was time to fight, I would train him. And he was very, very good. He was like 16, 17 years old. So this is like 77, 78. He was excellent and stuff. But the problem with him, he probably could have been the best in the state, was he never get in shape. And I laugh at him how good he got Shakur in shape. So about maybe, my man is here, what about 8 years ago? About 8 years ago, right? We came up to a gym in East Orange, which is right outside of Newark, to see a friend of ours, nephew. But everywhere I would go to a gym, I would see Wali, and we called him Wali Muslim, but they call him Wali Moses. Everywhere I would see him, he was always giving respect, because I don't know if you know about martial artists. You always respect your teacher. You always have great regard for your teacher. Yes. And you got to be careful with martial arts, because it's almost like a religion, you know, that you can worship your teacher. But whenever I came to see him over years, when he grew up, he would see me, and he would always greet me, and, you know, and everything. So this time he came over and he sat down, and he said, I got to tell you about something. So I said, what you got to tell me about? He said, I got a grandson. And this guy done won the Junior Olympics. He's been all over the world and country. So I'm like, what? He said, yeah, man, you know, because I didn't know Newark boxing was that good and stuff like that. Where he said, yeah, he won a national. So I said, what's his name? So he gave me his name, and I put it in my phone. So if I went to office the next day, I hit him up. So when I hit him up, I said, oh my God, this kid is something special.
Right.
Oh my God. So I called the major paper, and at the time was the Star Ledger in Newark, and I knew the writer because he had did a exposé on me. That he followed me around for months. He embedded himself, and he wrote like a 3-page full article on me in a major paper about me with basketball and everything.
Right.
And I said, there's another story. This kid Shakur, he was only 15 years old. So Wali, so when they went to the Olympics, you know, all Newark was behind him and everything.
Right.
And I like what he said the other day. He said that he wasn't in shape. He took it for granted. Which, how the hell do you take something for granted? Where it's the beacon of your life and everything.
Right.
Like that? No, I mean, you know, you dreaming. That's why he was so upset. And so when he lost, everybody wanted to sign him, because remember Floyd went out there. They said, well, a $1.5 million check flew out there to try to sign him because he had seen him.
Right.
I hadn't seen him yet. I just heard about him. So Carl King called me. You know, because me and Carl was very good friends back in the day when I was with Butch Lewis, and we maintained our relationship, you know. And Carl called me. He said, I'll leave. You know, I want to sign Shakur. So I said, cool. I said, well, call his grandfather and tell his grandfather that I said to call him. So I called his grandfather first. I said, I'm not telling you who to go with, but I want you to take a phone call from Carl King. And he said, if you say take a phone call from him, take it. So Carl called me back and he said, man, he wants $750 and the sign, and went to Don, and Don said he ain't giving nobody $750. So next thing I know, he wasn't with Floyd. And the reason why Wally told me why they didn't go to Floyd, it was weird. He said that Floyd had gave him a flyer, and on the flyer was G, Tank Davis, and other people, but Shakur was down in the bottom. And he said that he didn't like the way Shakur said, I don't like the way he see me. You know what I mean? He done seen me in there with Tank and all the rest of them and stuff. That's why he came to bring a 1.5. I hung up with him. It's okay. It's all right. 1.5 and everything, right? And, you know, they got a little corner. He said he didn't see me that way. So I didn't, you know, I liked him, but that's why I didn't sign with him.
Right.
So that's the basis. So when he came to Newark the first time to see him, you know, Wally, I never forget, we were sitting in the stands, and I come from the old school boxing. The trainer, the fighter, when it's time to fight, we all in the dressing room. We don't come out. We like focus. But Shakur was in the dressing room, but Wally was going around, you know, and he was like, oh, I leave this, I leave. I want everybody to meet. I'll leave my family and everything. You know, I said, no, bro, not now. You know, take care of your business. We'll meet afterwards. But he came over, made me get up. And then one time there was a party that the mayor of Newark gave for Shakur, and I'm sitting there, and he's like, come on, take a picture. I said, I'm not into that. And why I'm not into that, because I was around the greatest celebrity that ever lived. And you know who that was.
Right.
Muhammad Ali. You know, and I didn't take a picture of him. And he was, like I told you, he was just a regular guy. So he made me take a picture with him and stuff. You know, the kid was nice and everything. It was funny because they had bought all this fancy food out. And the kid said, man, I just want some Popeye, some White Castle. That's it. So that's the extent of it. Then when I seen him, Fred, I said, oh my God. And, you know, my history, of course, I was around Ali. I was with Michael Spinks, with Butch Lewis, a consultant of security. I was, Eddie Mustafa hung out with me every day. Saad Muhammad, we were friends. They hung out in my office. And I knew boxing. And I said, oh my God. And I was talking to James Bashir that was with the Klitschko brothers that had Usyk as a cruiserweight. And then I was talking to Kareem Muhammad, who was with Riddick Bowe. I said, I've never seen nothing like this before. I don't know how good this kid is. So they said, what do you mean? I said, I don't know how good he is. He's not getting hit. He's fighting rounds, and they're only hitting them 8 times, 10 times in the whole fight. I said, I've never seen this before. And they was like, oh, blah, 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 blah. You know, they was hating a little bit. You know, they my brothers. They good friends of mine. They was hating because Bashir was like, yeah, well, he did nothing until he go over to Ukraine and everything. So while he could, then he said, man, I done beat them all. We done beat them all, bro. So I said, all right, well, shut up. And then Kareem was like, no, I want him to go for himself. I wanted him to start off not getting a manager, be his own manager, his own self, you know, like Rock Newman almost did with Riddick Bowe. You know, you actually running your own. So Kareem wanted him to run his own show, and he hooked up. So they was like, blah, blah. It was a big argument on Facebook. And Wally is a real quiet guy. He don't say nothing, but he's a quiet storm. He's a quiet storm and a very serious man, but he don't bother nobody and everything. When you see him, that's what he is, very, very quiet. So that's my end to Shakur. And every time I go, my right-hand man is sitting here with me. You know, I got it right ringside. He said, oh, man, we got to pay $300 for ringside. We can't see nothing. People jumping in front of me. I want to sit over there with the $60 people. I said, Ali Muhammad can't sit with the $60 people. Ringside, man, it's our kid and stuff. And while he would say, I'll give you a badge. I said, no, I don't do the badge thing. I'm an OG. I said, I'm going to have my seat. I don't want nothing from you. I just want you to keep going. Then I warned him about certain people, you know, specifically Murad Muhammad and somebody I went back, and then a couple of people to stay away from them, to stay away from you. How, you know, your grandson making $3 million, now all of a sudden they're going to tell you how to do it, but they broke.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, stay. And he said, if you say stay away from somebody, I stay away from them. So that's the respect that we have. So any questions you want to talk about, we could talk about.
Yeah. What's your take on him signing with Jay Prince?
I didn't know Jay Prince. Only I just knew about I wasn't a big rapper guy. My whole key at the time, the son went to Georgetown. when he was growing up 30 years, 25 years ago. You know, that was my injunction. And I'm a Jay-Z guy, you know what I mean? And but I like the what was that gang? I forgot the Texas guys. I forgot the
Mob Ties. No.
there's little short guys in there.
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked it, that tune and stuff, because in my graduations when I used to have the big school, the kids will walk on rap songs. Right. So one kid, I had a rough year one year. I think it was 21, 22, and the kids was like rough, man. And they weren't rough to me, but I knew they was rough in life. And I let them came in on Bugs and what's it, Bugs and what they call them? Bones and Thugs?
Bugs and Harmony.
Yeah, Harmony. And we would say Crossroad. And he was like, Brother Ali, why you put that on? Because y'all at the crossroad, and what happened is you got to make the right decision. And right decision. And you make the wrong decision, that's what's going to happen to you. And 5 of them is dead now.
Wow.
5 out of the 20 is dead. About the other 6 is in jail. And I knew it. I said, boy, y'all. And I would let them walk in on, I would let them walk in on different things. Saint is not a sinner that got up, you know what I mean? The girls and everything. So it was always a message when I had graduation. I would have like 30, 40 kids graduate. So it would be like 1,000 people there. And they were like, why you put that on? But anyway, going back to what I was saying.
The Ghetto Boys is the name of that group.
Ghetto Boys, that's what. So I don't know much about him. I just, what I read and everything, that he was a street guy. And that he stepped matter of fact, somebody was there. The guy James Bashir was there when they came in that gym, Bob Aaron's gym. He was with Emmanuel Stewart. He was working with Emmanuel Stewart. And he was there, and Emmanuel Stewart said, it's none of our business. He said they came in and they put chains on them doors, and Emmanuel said, no, it's none of our business. And they beat Leonard's ass. Ellaby, all that tough stuff he's talking, they wiped him out. So, so
you were there.
No, my friend was there. My dear friend was there because he worked with Emmanuel Stewart. He was in the gym. He said he watched when they came in. They came in, they locked the door, put the chain on the door. And Emmanuel said, we had nothing to do with that. Ain't nothing. Just stay over here. We ain't got nothing to do with that.
In Vegas, correct? At the Top Rank Gym?
Yeah. And they, you know how you talk, right? They beat his ass. So every time he was walking around tough, I'm like, you tough? Somebody beat your ass, boy. You supposed to come back on them. You just took that butt whooping. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know much about it, but that he was just smart and everything like that. And I think they gave him the 750. You follow me?
Yeah.
And at that time, I think he moved to Virginia, which I thought was a good move because he had some family down there, and because you got to get out of North. Because the story he tells was 5 kids that was just as good as him, and all 4 of them got killed.
Wow.
And no, they all got killed. Not jail. They all got killed. So it's a good move to get them out of there. And then I like, the Houston thing. But, then the next thing you go to Houston and you're standing there with the street guys and somebody get killed in front of you. You know what I mean? That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Here we bring you out there to protect you, and you put them around. You bring them around street people. Like when Michael Spinks was with me, we didn't be around those street people. You know what I mean? So. We on the live. I hollered to it.
Okay, great job.
Hey, thank you, man. Okay, all right. So anyway, I'm like, and then like what Shakur said. So they said, what did you learn from that? He said, I learned to stay in the gym and stay in my house. So there was a problem here with Wally with the gym. As a matter of fact, I was the housing authority chairman in the city of Newark. Something about they wanted some tickets, and Wally told them that he don't get down like that. And people don't understand that when fighters give you tickets, they have to buy those tickets on big level.
It comes out of their purse. Yeah.
People, it's funny. It's a great story on the Tyson Spinks fight. And the mayor of East Orange was a friend of mine. And he wanted two tickets. So I called Butch and I said, B, I need 2 tickets for the mayor of East Orange. He said, all right, y'all, all right, tickets $1,500, bro. I'm gonna buy them for you, but I want my money. I said, the mayor can't get those tickets, bro. Don't worry about it. So that's when I learned that everybody. That's why we used to do it with badges. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. That's the trick, the badges.
That's the trick and stuff. Like at that fight, I had a badge, so I sat with Richard Pryor. You know what I mean? So but people don't know you got to buy the tickets, and and they had told Wally, and I was a commissioner at the time. They're gonna give him the gym for free because the gym was sitting there because it was set up for boxing, and Larry Hassan, the commissioner, had been there, but then he had went back being
IBF.
IBF. He went to IBF first, then he went back to New Jersey because Chrissy was saying they wasn't making no money, bring his butt back and stuff like that. And it was a thing where I don't get along with the mayor and them and stuff like that. You know, I took them to the feds. I don't know if you read about it and everything. You know, I called the feds on them and stuff. I told them I'm too old to go to jail for y'all, man. And what y'all doing is you're ripping off low-income senior citizens and disabled people. You know, and it touched my heart, bro, when I was there. You know, because I never wanted to be with them. You know, I wanted to campaign with them. I spent tens of thousands of dollars supporting them. I mean, bro, I'm talking about 50, 60,000. You know, when I was behind them. But I told them I never want nothing, and I never wanted to be in the, you know, like in the, because everybody's like, if I leave down with these people, he must be asked for something. I just want you to do better for North. Because I was very upset about Cory Booker, which was treating North as a stepping stone, which he did. He did a great job, but it affected us. You know what I mean? So when they got in there and everything, and they begged me, would I go in and be in the house? And I said I didn't want to do it. I turned it down. And when I got there, you know, I'm a student of the Elijah Muhammad. And Elijah Muhammad said that how do you keep something from a black man? You put it in a book or a newspaper. So I read everything. I don't just read the front. I read the back. I read the sideways. And I seen a lot of corruption. And I was like, yo, man, I mean, you can't do that. But at the time, they gave Wally the gym. He had like 200 to 300 kids up there. And I was saying that was amazing. I would come up on some time when he would do things. Matter of fact, one time Shakur was there. He was handing out prints and everything. But I was just laid back, just watching and stuff like that. And they would, you know, they had about 200 or 300 kids. And out of that gym, he had made like 2 national champions. And I'm like, man, people don't know in boxing, you don't get that, you know. Like my whole, it was Reggie Jones, Amin Muhammad that went to the Olympics. He was about the only one because Larry Hazard went to the Nationals 3 years in a row back in the early 60s, but he didn't. So very few people went to the Nationals from North because first place they would never be in shape and stuff, you know what I mean? Because they were in the street life. And then for him to do that was amazing. And then the mayor's office was mad at him about something and they created a problem and I fought for 4 months. So one of the guys that worked under me at the house authority was like, oh, yeah, man, he got nasty with me. I said, he don't play. He's a quiet man. The deal was for free. It was just sitting there. It was built for a boxing gym. It's just sitting there. Now here's a world-class trainer because I broke it down. World-class trainers, they don't stay in their own gym. They become high guns.
Yep, they try.
100,000, you want me to do this, 50,000, saying I'm coming in, yeah, I train you, but I get this and I get that and that. They don't, but this guy was still in there, you know, teaching them kids how to fight and everything, you know. And then so he got upset and he went to Houston. That's how he ended up in Houston.
Got it.
So the grandfather moved to Houston. And I think they got houses almost in a row and stuff. So all of them are out there, you know.
Wow. Yeah, I would love for Shakur to separate from the street antics now because boxing is corporate now. Boxing ain't run by the mob. It's not run by the Nation of Islam. You know, it's not run by Bob Arum, and you know, it's a corporate entity now.
That's deep that you know that it was ran by the Nation of Islam and Muhammad Ali was the champ. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And then Saad Muhammad became a champ, and this one became a champ, and it meant something. That's right. That's right. Ali called shots, even though he didn't know he was calling shots, but he was calling shots and stuff like that. You're absolutely right. It's corporate. It's corporate. They go in, they go on the IPOs and everything like that.
Oh,
you know,
for sure.
You know, I mean, who did that first? You know who did it first? The guy, I forgot his first name, Roberts, that had the triple threat. Cole, what's the other heavyweight and stuff? They were from New Jersey, the triple threat. One, there were 2 Marines and everything, article, and the big guy was the heavyweight. They did good. They became the championship. His name was Roberts. He went IPO, but Herbert had a guy, I forgot his name, was trying to go IPO with Muhammad Ali. They did go, but they just ripped the money off. In other words, they came up with Muhammad Ali Sports, and this had to be like 1984. This is right after Harold Smith. You know who Harold Smith is. Harold Smith was the guy that had the bank at Wells Fargo, and he had a line of credit, and he was buying all the fighters and stuff like that.
Right.
Found out he had a loan person, Arum did. Because my man Baha, that was what Ali told him. He said, don't do business with Arum. And when he did business with Arum found out where that money went at. They found in the guys from Wells Fargo, he had a $25 million limit. He owned everybody but Michael Spinks and Larry Holmes. And the reason why he owned Larry Holmes, Don King hid in the closet and he offered Larry $2 million. And they said Don King jumped out the closet and said, nigga, I went to jail for murder, nigga. I go back to jail for murder again and stuff. And Don scared them. And then he offered Michael Spinks $1 million, and Butch went up and stepped to him. But everybody else, because that's how Tommy Hams got the fight between. You know, he made all of them. Sodden was making $300,000, $400,000. They made $1 million with this guy. He was taking over. He had horses at the Kentucky Derby. They was flying private jets, man. Badass, you know, bad joker, right? And what happened was they got by Aaron found it out, Wells Fargo came in, they busted the FBI. You know, they busted out. But he was the first. He was that was their group, the thing. And then this guy named Roberts up in West Orange, I forgot his name. It was a triple.
Roberts.
Yeah, his last name was Roberts and stuff like that. But the triple threat was what's the guy name? Cole was one other guy. Another guy was a heavyweight, and another guy. The triple threat. What was it called? The triple threat. You think of it and stuff. They was out in Newark, and they signed them all out the Olympics. They signed them all out the Olympics, and when they signed them and stuff, and they all became champs. And he did the IPO. He had a Wall Street guy. And then the next time I heard is with Al Heyman.
Right.
Somehow that's how he got 400 million or something like that.
A billion. Yeah, he got it from a hedge fund.
Yeah. And they was all upset about it. Everybody was upset about it because he had bought all the networks.
Mark Roberts.
Mark Roberts, that's his name. Yep.
Yeah,
Mark Roberts, that's his name. Yep.
Sports agent out of New Jersey.
Right. He was the first one. You know, and maybe he's your voice sometimes. Like, yeah. You're like you snore, but you're not. You're wide open. But you're 67 years old. That's my man. That's my man. He's 67 years old and stuff. We call him smooth and stuff like that.
Oh, so yeah.
Yeah.
He made an appearance. He made an appearance in the last interview.
Yeah, he came through.
Yeah, he came through.
And, we grew up together, but I'm a lot older and stuff. You know, he was my little dude and stuff, man. He had so much heart in the world and stuff, man. Then,
what was your introduction to boxing? How did you get into it?
Growing up around it. But I was a martial artist. Growing up around it, boxers was, you would box. And then, of course, it was a guy named Cassius Clay. And I started watching him on TV, the black and white TV. And this man was saying all kind of stuff, man. Like, damn, man, this guy's really talking. Now, you got to understand, I'm like maybe 11 years old, 10 years old.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, he became a Muslim. And that's what brought me to Islam. Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali. I used to buy the Muhammad Speaks and read about him because he that's what brought me to boxing. And then I happened to be around him, when I was selling the clothes, and I spent a lot of time. And what got me really close, even though you had Marwan Muhammad, you had Audubon Muhammad that ran ESPN for Aaron, you had Bilal Muhammad with the side, you had Baha Muhammad that was the manager, Eddie and everything. So all the brothers had a piece. This was in the 70s, had a piece of it, so I was around it. And then me and Bush got tight. We was gambling. I met a guy from his office that was a promoter and everything, and I was trying to do concerts and stuff. And I found out my partner wasn't fake story. He wasn't a promoter. He was a cocaine dealer. And when somebody introduced me to him, they never said that. And I was very upset about that because I was trying to be a promoter. We was doing the whispers and stuff, and I found out he was a cocaine dealer. So what happened was I was around and I was gambling. We was a gambling in the office. This playing a little blackjack. And Bush jumped in the game because Bush shared the office with the guy. And I beat Bush for $25,000. And I tried to give it back to him. I said, man, I didn't mean it like that. So he said, nah. I know what he said. He said, my father said, gamble your money, sleep in the streets. So I gave him back 14,000 of it. He said, no, you got to, So what happened, when we started being around, he said, I want you to be with me. You know what I mean? So I said, what you mean? So he said,
what year is this?
This was 81, 82.
Gotcha.
81, 82. Mike Webb just became the champ, the light heavyweight champ. He beat Eddie. And 81, 82. And he said, I want you to be with me. I need a real strong team. And at that time, it was Muslims with every major promoter, like I told you before.
Right.
And we got tight. And I told him, I said, before I go with you, I got to tell you about me. So he said, what you mean? I said, you should know who's around you, you know? Because the guy over there next door is a cocaine dealer. So he said, really? I said, yeah, this nigga a cocaine dealer. And when they bust in his office, they ain't going to just take him. They're going to take you, and they're going to be you. So I said, you got to be careful who you're around. He said, you're right. And I told him what I did. I said, I was never going to mess with drugs. I wasn't a stick-up man. But I was the king of personal injury, you know? And I paid my taxes. I lived modestly. I could live bigger, but I lived modestly. And I paid my taxes. And we became like one. So I became his no man, like I told you before and stuff. So that put me right in the middle of boxing. That put me right dead in the middle. I mean, you know, it just, you know, that was my dude. That became one of my best friends, you know. And that's how I got in there real heavy and stuff like that. And then a lot of my friends, like I just told you, James Bashir is the one that trained Usyk. You know, he got him when he was, I think he was just a couple, because he was the Klitschko brothers. Even though Emmanuel was the person, he was the Klitschko brothers. So Usyk people hired him, and the deal was 13% that he got. He had him when the guy was like 5-0, and he took him all the way to the cruiserweight title, and then they won one title, and then they came back to him and said, Bashir, we want you to cut the money. Now, if I was with him, I'd have said, cut the money, son. You know what I mean? But he wanted to, I had this guy, 13%. They cut his butt. Now Usyk made over $200 million.
Ooh, yeah. And still counting.
Right. And he had the girl that he was a trainer that when they was in Detroit with Calissa, and they was fighting, and the brother came behind him and hit him in the
head. Yes.
That's Bashir. And then Kareem Muhammad was with Reddick Bowe with Rock Newman.
Right.
Rock Newman had, how we met Rock Newman, he had the White Braxton Kwawi. Then he got broke and he started being with Butch, and he was real good at Butch. And then Butch didn't have Reddick Bowe. People that know Reddick Bowe, he was taking care of Reddick Bowe all the way before he even got to the Olympics. And Reddick Bowe reminded him of Greg Page, who Don King stole him when he was number one contender and everything. And Rock ended up going with him, and Rock made $150 million. And it was one of my guys named Kareem. He was a local boxer, but he started being with Rock every day. So those guys, my friends, were on the highest level. Because I think Bo was the first one they signed $100 million HBO $100 million contract with, you know. Wow. So Kareem was on the highest level and stuff like that with Reddick Bowe. I was with Butch and everything. So that's what got me into boxing.
Right.
You know, I had about 4 fighters and stuff, you know. Oh my God, man. We was at a fight and I was telling, but that's my fighter right there. And the guy was fighting Joe Frazier's middleweight, right? So he said, "That's your fight, Ali?" I said, and I turned around, the guy's feet, his feet was up in the air stuff. He was laying out cold. So what was about $20,000 on this?
Oh my God. So what was Butch Lewis' initial investment? He was a car dealer. He was a used car salesman, correct?
Right.
Him and his father owned the dealership, if I'm not mistaken.
His father owned the dealership in Chester. Yeah. And that's where one of the street guy bought the cars from. Yeah.
What was his first dealings in boxing?
Joe Frazier.
Him and Joe Frazier were real good friends because his father.
That's right.
Tell the story, please. You know it better than me.
Joe, you know, what happened was Butch was in North Philly. So as a teenager, he started acting up, you know. So his grandmother sent him to South Jersey, to a white area, South Jersey, and he was down there, and he was doing real good. Had a white wife and everything, you know. Could have went to West Point, you know, real smart. Played football, was an all-American football, high school football star. Little as he was a football star. And he went to work with his father because he had the 2 kids, you know. And he went to work with his father and selling used cars. And he was doing pretty good. He told me, he said he was making about $50,000 a year, but 1970, that's a lot of money, man.
Right.
That's like almost like $500,000 now, you know, and you only make 20-something years old, you're making that kind of money, you know. And he started hanging with Joe, and he started rolling with Joe. So everywhere Joe went, he went. And Ali liked him. So when they ever did the negotiating for Ali, they would send Butch up there, you know, and to work things out. Butch would be the liaison and everything. And I told you, he was sitting in the room one day, and he was watching the deals, and he said, "Shit, I could do this myself."
Right.
And his father said, "Why you want to be in that business? You're making $50,000 right now. You're making 50 grand a year, man. You're only 20 something years old. He said, man, I see myself bigger than that. You know what I mean? And he went off, and Ali gave him the first shot, and then he hooked up with Aaron, and he was executive director of Aaron and stuff like that. And then Butch was always black conscious. And even though he's working with Aaron, he called Aaron the snake, And when he broke off, and he got Greg Page, because remember he signed Leon and Michael at the Olympics. Yes. And then little Rudolph guy, I forgot his name. They fought one fight, won the championship, and said he wanted to be a truck driver. And then he had Greg Page, and he had Schuler out of Pennsylvania that became one number one contender. He had a lot of fighters and stuff, and that's how he got into business, man. But where he made a living at, he was funny because he didn't like Aaron ways, but he was a lot like Aaron as far as not wanting to pay people. He was tight. He was tight with a pencil. You know what I mean? So he was with Aaron. He learned a lot from Aaron. He wasn't no Don King. He wasn't overpaying you and stuff like that. He blew himself up, and he had one fighter that was loyal. Michael Spinks. That was loyal.
How?
Yeah.
How did they get over on fighters? Because you said he was a lot like Bob Aaron.
Bob Aaron, like I told you, Don tell you I'm gonna give you $1 million, and when it's time to pay, you only get $500,000. And if you lose, you're only gonna get 100, because he's gonna say you got expenses. Remember that car I bought you? Remember that? Yes. I bought you. Remember that? So that's what the Muhammad Ali law is all about. That the promoters didn't tell the fighters how much they were making. Remember I told you the story that Butcher got 1.5.
Yes.
And they got 150. And gave Bernard 150. You know what I mean? So that was the whole Muhammad Ali, to tell the fighters what they're getting, because promoters will pay what they pay. But Aaron was a sharp pen. Like when he offered Shakur, when he lost Shakur, he said, "Give $15 million for 5 fights." That's safe as hell, because he was only paying him $3 million. I'm gonna still pay the $3 million. Where Shakur decided, I guess Jay Prince, they decided to go out and do their own thing, and they done made a lot of money now, a whole lot of money. Before this last deal, they done made a nice piece of money. With the Saudi deal. That's why he always talked good about Eddie Hearns. Yeah. Because Eddie Hearns, that fight that boy Schofield said he was sick and got poisoned.
Yes.
Shit. He got $7 million for that fight. To fight the guy that was an electrician. So Eddie saved it. Eddie made, he made the big money with Eddie.
Right.
His first big money, Shit.
Right.
That's why he'd take a minute. Eddie is my friend,
Right. Right. So let's take it all the way back. You were on the other side, right? So in the 1970s, you were selling clothes, correct?
Yes.
And you met Muhammad Ali then, prior to Butch Lewis.
Yes. Butch Lewis 81.
You met Butch Lewis in 1981.
81.
Okay, so prior to that, how did you meet Muhammad Ali? And feel free to take your time. I know it was probably in up there at camp. You were selling clothes.
It was up at camp, and what happened was when he had bought the camp in Delhi, one of our guys was a boxing guy named Baha Muhammad.
Right.
And Ali liked him, but Herbert was very fond of him.
What year is this?
This was like 72.
Gotcha.
So he was a slummer. You know what I mean? What a slummer is?
A hanger.
You have fake diamond rings and stuff, fake watches. So he would go out and work the white areas. And he started working up in that area in Pennsylvania. A watch cost him $8. He sell to you for $50. So he might sell 5 a week and stuff. He make himself $300. That's good, because he's able to take care of his family and everything. So he started working his way up. He started going up to Ali's camp. He started hanging out there. So Ali made him a valet. So that's what put everybody in. So then he would tell us, y'all need to come on up. And we start coming up. Every weekend we start coming up. And then sometimes I would come up during weekdays also, because I used to sell a lot of clothes up there and everything like that. And so I used to just come up and, and so, in the camp was, I would come up and Ali would just let you sit at his table. Somebody said, what's it? He said, oh, that's Brother Ali there and stuff like that. He said, oh, okay, so I'm like, he said, he from Newark and stuff, So yeah, he from Newark, okay, sit down and get something to eat, little brother. You know what I mean? Eat right at his table. It was nothing like that. Like I told you, Belinda Kalila was more leery because we was from Newark, because she knew the history of Newark.
Right.
You know, so she knew that she was like, oh, here come the North gangsters again. You know what I mean? And she was right, but Philadelphia was worse gangsters than we were. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Because they killed babies. We didn't kill no babies. You know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That story is very prevalent. You
yeah.
know. So, would you consider yourself friends with Muhammad Ali, or would you consider
In the
yourself?
'80s, I did. When I was with Butch in Vegas, I became friends with him.
Right.
In the '80s. Back then, no, he just spoke to me and like see me and gave me the salams. We'll buy the clothes, whatever I had left over, if he was feeling good or something like that, But no, in the '80s, I became friends because I was with Butch.
Right.
And that's when he used to come to all the fights down and give him $10,000 or $20,000. This is before Lolly kicked Herbert to the curb and everything,
Right.
$10,000 or $20,000 to come out and stuff, and so when I was with Butch, he became very friendly with me because I was Butch.
Right.
That's how I became. Yeah.
Did you know Lloyd Wells pretty good?
Lloyd Wells was a scout, a football scout.
Right.
And he was a pimp. He's a pimp. He was the one that got Mercury Morris for the AFL. You know what Mercury Morris is?
No, elaborate.
Okay. Back when it was the AFL and the NFL.
Yes, I remember that.
Mercury Morris was a top draft pick. Lloyd Wells used to work with Kansas City, getting scouting. He was a scout. They hid Mercury Morris in a hotel because the NFL was trying, and they signed him. And that was one of the first big signings of the AFL. And then he started being around Ali, and he was a pimp, and he didn't pretend that he wasn't a pimp. You know what I mean?
Pimp meaning getting women.
Yeah, that's what he was. He was a pimp.
So he pretended to be a photographer.
Yeah.
Or was he really an agent and a photographer?
He had been an agent and a scout, but he was regular pimp.
Wow.
He's a pimp. He brought the girls around Ali and stuff. And it was weird because he was black and half Indian. Matter of fact, he might have been 80% Indian, but he was a big man. I guess he had played football back. He's a big guy. He's like 6'4".
Right.
You see him in the pictures. You can see he had like an Indian skin. He most looked like an Indian.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But the camera, the other guy that was with Ali was the real cameraman. He just had the camera and stuff. That was just the woman there. I'm gonna make you a model and stuff like that. But he did make Mercury Kansas City assign Mercury Morris. That was like a big coup, almost like with Herschel Walker with the Generals.
Right.
The big coup and stuff. So
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm gonna ask you about Barbara Mensah. Does that name ring a bell?
What's her name again?
Barbara Mensah. He was from Houston, and in like the 60s or something, Lloyd actually introduced her to Muhammad Ali.
I can believe that. Yeah, I don't know of her.
Yeah. And she had a bunch of interviews or some interviews elaborating that he was a photographer. And she met Muhammad Ali when she was 16 years old, and they had intimacy, but they didn't have sex. That's what she said.
Well, I told you Lolly was 17.
But she lived across the street from him.
Right. That's where he met her from.
Right. Yeah. She lived across the street from him in Louisville, Kentucky. Correct.
Right. Directly across the street.
Yeah.
She was 17. She was 17. Because he married Lila when she was 17.
Yeah. Does that...
in the nation, they was doing that. I just had a friend that died that he got married. He was 16 and his wife was 15.
Is that grooming?
Yeah, they got civilly married. Yeah,
no, I'm actually... Is that grooming? Like, because Belinda at the time, she got Belinda, who was Khalil Ali Camacho, Camacho Ali. So people know. So when they Google, they want to do their Googles. She married him basically on her 17th birthday.
Right.
In August, right? August of 1967.
I don't know when, but I think it was 17.
Somewhere in there, 64, somewhere in there, right? And I find that so compelling that he met all these women at 17. and I'm not trying to put you in the corner or anything like that, but
I know you're not. But I don't think Sonia was that old, the first wife, And he tried to marry this Muslim sister in Newark, but she was in love with a friend of mine. She was a grown woman. But listen to me, man. I got married at 18. My wife was 18.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, if you got to see pictures of Belinda back then. And, he probably was hanging around Chicago. And, you seen this fine-ass girl because he had left Sonia, right? Because she wanted to wear the miniskirts and all that stuff like that, right? But he seen her, man, and she was absolutely gorgeous.
Right.
I mean, I don't think it was no, and he married her. He probably didn't knock her off till he married her, you know what I mean? Because, back then she was an official's daughter, you know what I mean? So, back then, it was a little tight, I know I seen a lot of shotgun weddings back then that I came up.
Right.
At 16 years old, Mama Joe's had to marry somebody, and then they still put him out and gave him 1 to 5 years,
Right.
He got married. But I could see, but Lloyd, put in your head, he was a pimp. He's a pimp.
So when did he meet Veronica? What year would you say that?
That was 74 in Zaire. But she was with Don King. Don King had brought over some women to be.
So not prior to that did he know her?
No, he didn't know her.
He literally met her while he was doing an interview, or
Zaire, right? He met her in Zaire. She was around Don and stuff.
But Lonnie was around prior to that.
Yes. She was around at as far as I remember, she was around like 73. Because Baha used to pick her up. The same guy, he would pick her up in Reading. She would fly in. Remember the 2 motels we talked about? Yeah,
the black one, black
they
owned, and the white
they
owned.
would be in the black one. They wouldn't be in the white one because the white one was all the Gene Kilroy put the guys in there. That they got a partnership in that with bringing all the newspaper. That's what he put them at and stuff like that.
Right.
The black one, that's when Ali came down to take care of business at.
Right. So simultaneously, he was dating at the same time, married to Belinda. By 74, dating Veronica and dating Lonnie at the same time.
Yes, probably more than that.
Oh, obviously. Do you remember Wilma Rudolph? Was she around at the time or no?
I remember Wilma Rudolph, but I
obviously you remember. But
yeah, he was messing with her.
Yeah, Wilma Rudolph in the early 60s or something like that.
Something else, but now the thing with Veronica, he was messing with Veronica, and when Honorable Elijah Muhammad died, right?
Yes.
And WD took us to polygamy. He went to Belinda, and I know she told you that too.
Yes.
He wanted to marry her. So believe me, he was with her in Zaire, believe me, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? He was with her in Zaire, but he ended up marrying her. Mainly that's what all they women dream was to marry him. You follow me?
Yes.
It's like they say Frank Sinatra was crazy with women. A lot of people are just crazy with women. It's who you are, and even me back when I was an eligible bachelor back in the 80s, man, when I was doing it and stuff, man, I had the Eldorado and the Mercedes and the tailor-made suits and the house with pink $100 carpet and walls and architect swimming pool custom made and powerful, man. Women used to fall at my feet, man. Because at that time I didn't understand polygamy, and I didn't want them to get married to me because I was the worst husband in the world. I was telling somebody that the other day with my first wife. They said, "When y'all married?" I said, "Oh my God, I was the worst husband in the world. I was a great provider, but I was a horrible husband." She said, "Oh, you weren't that bad." I said, "Yes, I was, honey."
Wow.
So my 5 women are here right now at this funeral that I used to go out with. She said, "Really?" So yeah, man. Look ahead. What's your story?
No. I'm just asking questions, and since you were around, I just want clarification. There was a rumor stating that, and I know people are gonna be mad at me for asking you this question, but Muhammad Ali was bisexual.
Never heard that before.
Never heard that before. Yeah.
Never heard that before.
Okay.
Good. Never heard that before.
Good.
No, honestly, I never heard that before.
Okay.
I heard it about Malcolm in that book.
Yeah, I did. I did hear that as well in his earlier days, and they say he used to service white men.
Yeah. Well, if you pimping, that's what a pimp does. See, when I come up young, the old timers that were pimps say, don't never let nobody call you a pimp. And I said, why? They said, because a pimp, if he don't have a hoe, he become the hoe. He don't turn down no money.
Wow.
The correct word is macking. That's when you taking money from a woman and stuff. That's the Mac. That's why the great picture back in the early 70s was the Mac.
Mac, yeah,
They
yeah.
got that right. It wasn't pimping. And not like when young kids say, "Oh, you was a pimp." I said, "That's horrible, man. That's horrible." Because like you say, they'll turn that pimp. They'll turn that goddamn. They ain't gonna turn down no money and stuff like that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But I never heard that. I never heard that.
Okay, good. Elaborate on your relationship with W.D. Muhammad.
I didn't know.
And when did it start?
Okay, well, I was introduced to him, and not introduced to him, but I started hearing about him in '74. Because Murad Muhammad, that's a box promoter, and Audubon Muhammad, that ran ESPN for Aaron.
Right.
They used to sell the jewelry, and they started going out to Chicago every Sunday to the new mosque. They had bought the new mosque out, the new temple that Gaddafi had loaned down Elijah Muhammad the money for, right? That big Greek temple was a Greek church they turned into a temple. And they was coming back and they were saying, this guy Wallace, the man, the Elijah Muhammad's son, because remember they called anybody related to the Elijah Muhammad, they called them the royal family.
Right.
The royal family. They called them the royal family. They said, Wallace is talking differently and stuff like that. So when Elijah Muhammad died, I came out to the Savior's Day, and they introduced Wallace. And they said, we told y'all, man, we told you it was going to be him. But the way I heard was Herbert said, it's going to be my brother, and Farrakhan, you be quiet. You know what I mean? And Jeremiah, we going to make this decision. And they made it with Wallace. And then at that point, he started coming in. He would take us around we took it to the Suna. But I got to know him closely in the 90s because I was pretty wealthy and I was a big giver in Newark,
right.
And when you're a big giver, you get access.
Yes.
And, he would see me, and we had the same birthday, October 30th.
Right.
And he would see me, and, he was a very nice guy. He was humble. And we would have a conversation and it would make sense.
Right.
It would make sense conversation. So it was the idea that he wanted to leave Chicago and stuff and move to Newark. Not Newark, but New Jersey. He didn't want to live in the hood. That's one thing about him. He said, don't put me in the hood.
Right.
Right. Because one brother had a house. No, man, you can stay here. He said, thank you, brother, but I'm not living in the hood. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So at the time, I was living in Mendham, New Jersey, and I had 6 acres. So I went up there and I found him 30 acres in a town called Peapack, which is borderline Bedminster, where Trump and all them is at, Forbes, a DeLorean, all of them live up there. It was horse country. And I found 30 acres. And what the deal was, we was going to subdivide. Now, I know you talking, because I said you in construction and everything.
Right.
We were going to do a minor subdivision and make 4 lots.
Right. And
we was going to make the Imam a 15 lot. His going to be 15 acres, but it was going to be a flag lot. And a flag lot, for your listeners, it has no off the street. You got to go down a driveway to get to it. It's no street frontage. And it was going to be 3 lots, and the 3 lots was going to pay for the Imam. And he had told me privately. He said, "We need people." And I forgot. And directly across, 400 acres was owned by the Kingdom of Morocco. 400 acres. And he had told me, he said, we need to attract people with substance. We need people around us with money, And somehow the Imam that was in charge, he was trying to figure out how to get himself in there.
Right.
And I was trying to tell him his way to do it, but you got to have money, And he was trying to do some other stuff, so we ended up falling out, and I ended up buying a lot. And because he had more access to the Imam, he convinced the Imam to stay in Chicago and stuff. But I ended up buying a 30-acre lot. Wow. And I did subdivide it, but when I opened up the school, I lost it because not being able to maintain it. Right. That's another one of my projects I want to throw up and stuff. because it's worth. I was buying it for $700 back then, and it's worth about $8 million now. Man.
Ooh.
8 million, 9 million. No houses like, man, at least almost $10 million. You know what I mean?
So people know, how did you get access to your wealth?
I stopped selling clothes, and I got an insurance business. And what I did was, I owned the chiropractors, and I owned imaging centers. So I became big in that. Some people call it an ambulance player, ambulance chaser.
Yeah, right.
But what I did, I wasn't just the ambulance chaser. I was the guy that drove the ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
And I started making a lot of money, and that's how I got in business and everything, by owning different things like that. Then I owned the lawyers too, but that legally you couldn't own a lawyer back then. You can't be partners with a lawyer. I was partners with everybody else, and I owned everything. But I would take young lawyers and put them in business. So I was getting money all kind of ways, and big numbers. But I knew that they was going to change the game because black people like me were making money.
Right. You sound like the government.
No, bro, they was like, I remember I had an interview and they said, "What did you do last year?" I said, $3 million. They looked at me. I mean, they're gonna change this, boy. You know what I mean? Man. And they couldn't, but I was reporting it. I was reporting it to our ass. You know what I mean? Because you can't live in Boca Raton on the water. You can't live in Mendham being no drug dealer, because them people want to know what you do that live around them. They're very prominent people.
Right.
And they really want to know who you are around them. Now, they're probably some of the biggest crooks in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like Chris Christie's brother, they had him. He had made a move for $450 million, but Bush got him out. W got him out. The first Bush got him out of that, because he gave him $3 million donation and stuff like that. They stopped the investigation. But you can't live in those kind of areas, because you live in the area. You can't be no drug dealer.
Oh, no, we'll definitely get you out of there. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So how intimate was your relationship with WD?
We talked about women, because I was polygamous. And he was laughing, and he said, "Man, it just don't work with me," because he had his first wife, and then she was something else. It was the great story that the imam, they said he was with another woman that he had married, and Islamically, and the first wife came out, was hollering outside the women, "Come on out of here! Your imam is a hoe," like crazy stuff like that,
Right.
But we talked about women, we talked about business. I was trying to get him to understand that he was a little antiquated in his business thinking.
Right.
And some people thought it was disrespectful. I told him we should do more brokering. He was like, "Okay, let's buy 100 suits and sell it or something." Old time facts. So he's going overseas and buying stuff. I said, "No, that's antiquated. You buy one suit and then you broker the rest of them. You buy a phone. Yeah, then you get a phone company to give you your name on it.
Right.
You make a deal with the computer, because he had influence over 300,000 or 400,000 people.
Right.
So I said, you don't use no money, and that's what he would do, because he didn't know, because he was a blessing for us as Muslims, because he took us away from the myths of the Nation of Islam, but he destroyed the greatest organization that black people had, because he didn't like the corruption. So he found out, he told the story that he was driving one day, he was so broke that he just drove till he ran out of gas in Chicago. He was on the highway on the side. He said, a brother just had to ride by and said, "Brother man," backed up. I said, "Brother man, what's the matter?" He said, "Brother, I don't have no gas." He said, "You ain't got no gas?" He said, "I ain't got no money either." So the brother went and got him some gas and then gave him $300-400. So by him breaking up the Nation of Islam Foundation, he hurt himself financially, Right. And then the Saudis had offered him a blank check, but he was honoring, like, "I don't need y'all to do that." The Saudis, I had a brother that was there, said the Saudis offered him a blank check, because I think like he leaned more with Republicans, I think, in the 90s, with the Bushes and everything. And that gave him access to the Saudis and stuff like that. Matter of fact, when they did the war, the first war with Iraq and everything, when they did the war. It was his books that they were buying to give to the soldiers to understand Islam, you know. But what happened in the Saudis, because he was black, and they tried to treat him like a slave, and he wasn't taking it.
Right.
So it fell out because Herbert was like, "Take the check, man." Herbert, take the check.
We'll get to Herbert in a second.
Take the check. Yeah. Like, no, I want to show them what we doing. He's like, man, take that check. You could do whatever you want. Take the check. You know, it's a blank check, man. Put about 50 million in that sucker. You know, we'll be all right. But he didn't do that, you know. But in the later times, he realized that, you know, he needed that financial backing, you know, and he wasn't getting it. That's why he became very loving of Newark, because one thing about Newark, when he came in, they would make sure, you know, the imams would make sure he get $10,000 in his pocket. You know what I mean? And then other places, they wanted him to pay to come in and everything. So, I mean, they did something at Jacob Gavin's. It was big too, man, like 30,000 people. When they got finished, they gave him they only had $5 left. All the people was there. They know what they was doing. So his, you know, and then he had married this young woman. I think she was like 18, 19 years old. You know, I seen her at his janazah. She's a beautiful woman. Oh my God, she's beautiful and smart. Was the imam's Tyson's father-in-law's
Is an imam. Yes.
Yeah, seriously. His father-in-law was her. It was you know, not no, it was somebody else, but they were close. I forgot the brother's name that he married the daughter, and she died and stuff. They treated her horribly, the whole family and everything like that, you know. But he would talk to me, and he would say things privately, like, you know, brother Alif, you are hope. You know, the words he would use, you know what I mean? Because you're not gonna let nobody stop you, you know?
Right.
He said, you know, I mean, and it ain't like it's nobody forcing you to do. He said, what I like about you is what you want to do.
Right.
And you're in control of what you want to do. In other words, Muhammad, if the Ambulance want me to do it, I'm just doing it. I was completely in control. So people looking at me strange. I said, that was, brother, man, that's not too bright right there, what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, and he respected that. And some people wanted to make him like the messenger, you know? And you try to stay away from that, but you got to have people to tell you. You always got to have a no person with you, you know.
Right.
You know,
right.
Like your wife might be the no person, you know. So you know, you always got to have a no person with you, man.
Right.
Somebody, you know, and you know, good guy, humble guy. Didn't like people picking him up in limos. I remember we found out he had an old car that he had for 10 years, and no, we bought him a car. But it was a regular car, you know. It wasn't nothing special. Bought it brand new. We just got together and bought him a car. You know, very frugal guy. You know, that was his personality. But he didn't understand that money. You got to have money. You know what I mean? To do the things you want to do, you got to have money. You know, and he wasn't a good businessman. You follow me? He's a great leader because he took us to pure Islam and took away the myths and, you know, made us independently, because most of us who came out of that, the Arabs can't advertise us, you know, because I got a lot of friends, man, that you would know. They from Newark, they from Harlem. You said, damn, man, where you from? Saudi Arabia? And they even changed their lingo. Yeah, how are you, brother? I said, get the hell out of here, Negro. You know what I mean? But he didn't make us lose our culture, you know, because people take their culture, they think that's Islamic. And he stood up, and he was a very humble dude, man. But he said what he wanted to say. He was, you know, he was honest, but he knew that he made a mistake as far as the, you know, the structure, because the structure, like we talked about before, was worth $70 million, and $70 million is about 700, almost $1 billion now.
Right.
You need money, man. You need money, man. You need money to do stuff. You know, you really do.
Now, you said that was the most successful business. Is it today? Do you still consider that a successful business, or
Minister Farrakhan?
No, I'm talking about like Elijah Muhammad
compared to what? Let me limit it now to a black man. Not individually, because we got black billionaires. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm talking about an organization.
or organization. Do you still consider that a successful
Yes.
organization?
Yes. You had back then. You had 200 satellites, 200 temples. You know, you had an $800,000 weekly paper. You had fish that you was importing. Great idea.
Right.
Important and stuff. You know, the bean pie. I don't know where that came from. That people who equate Muslims. That's some Farrakhan stuff with the paper and the bean pie. We never saw no bean pie because each city had different bean pies. You know, like you go to New York, they had like a custard type here. Then we had a little in Philadelphia. Everybody had different bean pies. You know, and some sisters were just good at it. But you know, I never sell no bean pies. I sold Muhammad Speaks, and I told you I was substantial. I became pretty wealthy when the fish came in '73 and stuff. I just bought it, and my mother owned the restaurant. I would give her a box, and you know, and give somebody else a box that I wasn't going out there selling fish or nothing like that, you know. But the idea of porting from Peru, and they were good fish. It was meaty. It was good. It was so meaty, man. Because I'm not a fish guy because I got bones caught in my throat when I was a little boy. You know, the porgies and stuff like that, man.
Yeah.
That was so good and stuff, and I got bones. I had to eat the bread and all that stuff to get it down there. So I didn't like fish, but that fish was meaty. And then you had a communication of 800,000 people that you was talking to.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you had 200 satellites. Right. Like in Newark alone, not Newark, in New Jersey, you had like 15 temples. You follow me? That's a lot of people. New York, I think they had like maybe, oh my God, just in New York City area, they had like 20, you know? So you blow your satellite, you blow your income. You know what I mean? He wasn't pressuring nobody to sell papers. He stopped that. You follow me? He stopped that. He tried to convince people to sell the fish and make a living and stuff like that. But he wasn't a great businessman, but a great spiritual leader and a good human being. You know, I mean, a good human being. Because he didn't like that. He didn't like, you pulling up in the limo. He didn't like that. You know, he said, I want to ride him. Just come get me in your regular car, stuff like that. And he was a nice guy. He would get in your car and say, this is a nice car. He said, man, this ain't nothing but a Ford. He said, hey, it's a nice Ford, you know? Mm-hmm. Very, 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 very. I remember brothers took him downtown Newark and bought him 5 suits. And he was so uncomfortable, then he wanted to buy 5 alligators, right? He said, I can't wait to give me some earth shoes and stuff like that. A very, very unassuming person. And he was fighting not to make him a monarch, like a father, like a messenger. Right. He fought that. So a lot of times he would open up organization. He resigned because he wanted you to be independently thinking. Right. But by token, he lost his financial strength.
Yeah. So
you follow me?
No, and that leads me to ask. Let me ask you. Is W.D. Muhammad more successful than Elijah Muhammad?
Islamically wise, not as far as the reform.
Define reform.
In other words, I got 3 mayors right here in the city that brothers is younger than me. That's Muslims. That's right. W.D. Muhammad.
Right.
Mr. Elijah Muhammad said we don't vote, we don't blue play. But right now, in the stone throw of where I'm sitting at in my office, 2 miles away, there are 3 Muslims. Right. One is a president of the city council. It's a sister I was on the opposite side that's on the council of Newark now, Right. And the effect that was W.D. Muhammad. They became wardens, they became lawyers, they became doctors, police officers, police directors, and everything. I knew some of the biggest bank robbers. Their sons became police directors. It was like funny, damn, your father was a bank robber, and you police director. So that's what, because we were limited in the nation Islam. You know what I mean? We were limited what we could do within the community. It was merely about being self-contained and everything like that.
Right.
So are you saying success?
Well, if the goal is paradise or heaven, right, then
it's W.D. Muhammad.
Then the greater question would be, was Elijah Muhammad leading people to hell?
I don't know, because they said God judge you by your intent. They said if God judged you by your what you do, it would be a living creature on earth. His intent, I seen drug addicts, I seen junkies, I seen women, I seen it myself. That women were prostitutes or they were drunk. Man, there's women I know right now, I ain't gonna say their name and stuff, man. When we was in high school, they used to be so high off the pills. Right. Now they got PhDs. You know, they joined a nation, they got cleaned up, they got a husband and stuff like that.
Right.
So, you know, I don't know the intent. The intent. The ideas was good morally. Get married. I got married. I got out of high school. I was married. My mother looked at me. I was crazy. I got out of high school in June. I was married September 1st. She's like, "You too young." I said, "Well, I got to follow on life mom and program, Mom." Right. You coming? She said, "Yeah, I'll be there." You know. So okay. You know what I mean? And that made me 18 years old. I was a grown man. I was a man. Had a luxury apartment. Had a nice car. Had my own business, man. Elijah made that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But the actual integrating in the real world, even standing up for the statue, Star Spangled Banner, and appreciating that you live in America, that was WD. That made us more global and everything. And I see it. Like a lot of people said, "What happened to the steak and takes?" I said, "Man, what happened to the steak and takes, man? These guys are, you know, you got senators, you got Congress people. That's WD Muhammad. Right. That's W by integrating because I remember first when he chose to vote, I think in '76, he said, "I want everybody to register to vote." Because none of us were registered. Right. I had never voted. Right. And my mother was so happy. I said, "I got to register to vote." She said, "Oh my God, I like him." Because they were old school from Georgia where they didn't allow to vote, man. Right. You know what I mean? My grandmother wasn't allowed to vote. Now, you know, get into the system and everything, you know. We got professors, we got teachers, we got superintendents. That's all WD Muhammad. That come from the indigenous people in Newark. I mean not Newark, in America. Come out of that way. You know? And the nation was a prophet that's in there real now. He's very talented. He does a film and everything, and I call him talent. His name is Usman Sharif. Beautiful young brother. And his father is still strong in the nation. He lives in the islands, Virgin Islands. And, you know, he's listening to his father. And you know, he's like, "I'm going to be assistant minister and stuff." I said, the nation is going to limit you, my brother. You know, your brother next to you is a lieutenant, right? Your brother right next to you is a lieutenant now in the police department. The nation, we ain't got no police. We weren't joining no police. It limits you. And he ended up easing right back on out. And I told him, it limited us. It limited us. The good thing that my old friends used to tell me was, by me selling clothes and by me dealing with the Jews and dealing with the non-Muslims, my biggest customers were non-Muslims, it made me more of a different global person. And I forget what they told me, because they said, "WD is more your kind of a person, I leave. Us, we like the devil, that's the devil, and that's niggas." You know what I mean? He said, "You wasn't calling them devils because you were buying 1,000 pair of pants from them a month. Right. You was doing business with them and stuff. And you didn't call them niggas because that was your best customers." So my attitude was different, where other people, it just limits you. It limits you. But what I'm saying is he blew on the financial part. You know, Fred, you can't, we can't look like we can't look like Denzel, all of us, or Billy D was my guy and all that. We can't look. I'm just telling you, and have it all. But he blew it there. He blew it, and he tried to. It would have been better if he gave it to Herbert, because Herbert was thinking more business orientated. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's what, it was the real world.
Wouldn't you want a pure heart though? Like, wouldn't you want a man with great intentions? As you're describing him to me, he comes off as a man with great intentions, high morals.
But it's weird, because I told you about Herbert before, that the same guy, Baha Muhammad, used to work with me in my school, and he used to always say, "Put the young brother on the phone." He said, "Brother, I like what you're doing. Keep it up. I heard y'all got 2 buildings now. You got 600. Plus, I heard you got a mass shit in there. You keep it up." So even Mustafa Bradley, whatever he was, it's brothers I know that came in, and he would find them in the wrong spot, and he would make them get out and go back to the temple.
I understand that.
Now that's weird. Or where he would say, "No, you don't belong here. No, get out of here. What are you doing here?"
Right.
These guys snorting all this cocaine, robbing. Go back to the temple. You be in the temple.
Right.
So what I'm saying to you, I understand what you're saying, but Herbert had his father knew what he was doing by picking him as a businessman, because now all these guys, you hear these guys talking junk now, man. It would never been a Mayweather, it would never been a Sugar Ray Leonard. And Mayweather took it to another level.
Right.
And I'm seeing you jumping on him and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he broke. I think that he's cash poor. You know the difference too, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Because at times I've been cash poor and I had $1 million house.
Right.
You know what I mean? That was, but I ain't had no money.
Right.
But I had $1 million house and stuff,
No, I get that.
Right?
I get that.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it. So yeah, Herbert had his ways and everything like that, but he Elijah was smart enough to pick certain people. He picked out Malcolm, a junkie.
Right.
He took out Farrakhan, a singer, and made them big. He had good ideas of what to do with certain people and how to make them big and stuff. And he chose his sons. The younger son went off and became Arabicized and everything. You would have never thought he was from Chicago, man.
Mm.
Right. His voice, you would have said that brother, but he was Arabicized, and he ended up, he went into academia, but he didn't do nothing for the community. You know what I mean? He didn't do nothing for the community. So yeah, but I think WD, if you got to look at it, yes, man, he set us free, man. He opened us up. He said go to Hajj. And when you go to Hajj, it's just messing you up because you see so many people. You know what I mean? And, that was that BS with Malcolm talking about I never see no white people. Man, the Savior's days be white people sitting up on a thing that was from Turkey with Elijah Muhammad. You know what I mean? He talking about, bro. We in the lessons it said, yes, we white people are Muslims, but they're Muslims by religion. We were Muslim by nature. It was natural that we were Muslim, But all that BS and stuff. Oh, I went there and I drank. Nah, bro. You know what I mean? But I never, I seen that and stuff, and I seen the racism with them. Because until they found I was American, they was treating me like a servant. And then when they found out I had money, man, I'm staying in Intercontinental and I got 3 suites. It wasn't never Brother Ali, it was Mr. Muhammad. You know what I mean? And 2 hours and all that stuff, man. They changed the game. That changed the game. But they're racist. I'm telling you, they're racist. Did I tell you the story? I was ready to leave. They take your passport when you come in, so they try to control you. And I was ready to leave.
Where are you right now? Where are you?
In my office.
No, you said where are you? Like they tried to take
Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia.
Okay, thank you.
I made my Hajj, right? So I made my Hajj. When you come in, they take your passport from you, so they control you, and they make you go to where Americans come in at, and they take your passport.
Sound like you got the same experience Malcolm X did.
Yeah, but they weren't even letting him because they was questioning was he a Muslim or not.
Yeah, and the king had to go. Yeah.
No, they never questioned me like that. They just take the control because they got 4 million people coming in a little city. A little city the size of Newark and everything. You know what I mean? So I wanted to get my thing. So they said, you got to have somebody come get it for you. So I said, okay. So I went back to the hotel. I was Intercontinental, which is 5-star. And they said, okay, we'll send somebody with you. Go take Mr. Muhammad back and get his passport. And when I took it back, he was a Muslim. He's an Arab. He was a Syrian. He took me there and he pulled the guy, the Saudi put me to the side. He said, tell them to send a Saudi, not a Syrian dog. You follow me?
Yes.
So I go back to the hotel. I said, they say don't send the Syrian dog. See, that's how I am. That's what they called them. The Syrian dog sent a Saudi. They said, no, understand. They took a Saudi back. They came in and started kissing each other on the cheek. Within 2 minutes, man, we had our passport walking out the door. Everybody's like, I'll leave, help me. I said, hey, man, you got to get you a Saudi. And stuff like that. I know how to play the game, baby. I learned the game quick and stuff, man. You got to get you a Saudi and stuff like that, man. And then one time I got mad at them. I said, they're black Saudis, and I'm leaving this hotel unless you bring one out. And they went in the back, and the guy was black as a shoe with all white on and stuff. And I said, I knew you was back there somewhere, He laughed. I said, I don't want that going in the back and stuff, but I just wouldn't, I knew it. But yes, yes. So that's why, You got to really believe in God and don't believe in people because, boy, you messed up. But get back to WD, man. You know,
that's what leads me to that, because the book I read,
you
know, tells me what good is a man to gain the world but lose his soul. You know, so
right.
That's why I look at Elijah Muhammad, and I understand, like, on the first 4 how it's inspiring. I get that, because in my neighborhood you can be inspired by a dope dealer, you can be inspired by a pimp.
We were.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
We were. Yes. I'm talking about we were.
Yeah.
You know, we were. Yes.
But that's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making.
Yes.
And I'm not drawing a parallel between Elijah Muhammad and a pimp or a drug dealer. I'm just giving you an example. You can be inspired by a rapper. However, the bigger picture, the big picture and its purpose can lead us to hell.
Yeah, but look at the moral aspect that he rejected.
I don't know about that, because
but you're concerned about his private life.
No, but that's it. But that's the reality of it. See,
and that's why I applaud you, right?
Yes.
I applaud you. I gave you your props and stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because you always say, I got to go to this, I got to do this, I got to do that. That's strong, man.
Yes.
You know, because you can still be out here making millions of dollars and stuff. I mean, no, I heard you say you do well anyway, but you could be big.
No, I know. Like you're absolutely right. Yeah.
But he rejected. He rejected. Now, was it kept a secret? And yes, maybe not Chicago, but we didn't know.
But what are you rejecting? What are you rejecting? Like, if we are all made in images of God, what are we rejecting? You understand what I'm saying? Like for example, how you said in your lessons, in the old lessons, you had to kill 4 white people, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Right. By the way, do you still have those lessons?
Oh no, I
would love to. I would love to see that on paper.
Yeah, man, but he might not give him up and stuff.
I would love to see that on paper.
I'm gonna try to get him from somebody.
I would love to see that on paper.
I'm gonna tell him, ask him for some lessons. He might have. He's not the only one I know might have and stuff.
Yeah. So if a religion tells us to hate a certain race, to hate a section of God's creation, is that wrong?
Because what they did, they made the white race the devil.
However, you're very successful with white people.
All religions said, hate the devil.
Yeah. Or
like even in Islam, the first thing you say is Abdullah Shaitan Rajim. Oh God, protect me from the devil.
Right.
The great enemy.
I get
it. What I'm saying, they made what he did was made the white people.
So they made you believe the white people.
Psychology, bro.
Yeah, I get it. I get it now. I get it. So
it's eating white people nice in the last 10 years.
So it's a cult. So Islam is a cult.
It wasn't a cult. Because the cults, you can't come and go like you want. In the Nation of Islam, you didn't follow the rules, you didn't make the meetings, or you didn't do something, you was out. And I'm telling you, you got put out for fornicating, or put out for adultery, or put out for stealing and stuff like that. So a cult is like you're locked in. When I'm thinking about Jim Jones and stuff like that, a cult where you lock it, you can go.
Was also friends with Elijah Muhammad.
Not Jim. No, he was friends with W.D. Muhammad. Not Elijah. He went around. No, W.D. Muhammad. I know. I went to the Jubilee.
Okay.
Until he found out he was crazy in 1976.
Okay, so you may be right. Yeah, the picture.
Yeah, 1976. We did in Atlanta. We called it a religious jubilee.
Right.
And we WD joined branches with Jim Jones, and then he found out that he was crazy. Because it was another religious group that he's still friendly. He was friendly to the day he was dying and stuff. Because he believed it into religion action, dealing with people.
Right.
Like the Pope and all that kind of stuff. He but Jim J, he was with Jim. That was him. That wasn't Elijah.
Gotcha.
Elijah was too small for Jim.
Right.
Elijah was cool, wouldn't kill Jim himself and stuff. You know what I'm saying? But no, he wasn't him. It was the man. So it's a lot of mistakes there.
I understand. I understand. Brainwashing is a hell of a drug.
But what I'm saying to you, do they do that in church And
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And they do it with the music. Cause I be in church sometime, like a funeral or something, man.
Mm-hmm.
And shit, man. When my grandson got killed out in California, right?
Sorry to hear that. Jeez.
Yeah, man. His girlfriend killed him. Crazy,
Oh.
and crazy, man. His girlfriend. He said he was leaving her and she killed him. And all I could do is play the song "Stand" to my daughter, and that's a religious song, a Christian song, but it was just a good song. Stand. Nothing else you could do but just stand.
Right.
Just stand and stuff, man.
Right.
So what I'm saying is it all religion could be considered a drug. A lot of, like I told two reverends that sit on the council seat, I said, I don't want to judge y'all because God is the judges, but y'all put politics over religion. Y'all know it ain't right, and you still go with it. Stuff like that.
Right.
That's why in Islam, and if we would have been following in true Islam, imam, like you will be an imam in your house. You will be. It's no such as a clergyism, like like a preacher and stuff or a bishop and nothing. There's no clergyism. Right. It's an imam, and we're governed by the Quran and the authentic hadith, which is the prophet's life and stuff. So if you put that, you got your own criteria to make you think. It makes you independently thinking. Right. And because Elijah was more of a Bible person, I told you that before.
Yeah.
Than the Quran, because if we'd have read the Quran like we supposed to, we'd have walked out the door. You know what I mean? Because a lot of things that was said. He used to tell us, wash your arms all the way and put the Quran on the highest part of your house. So we had all shelves up there, and you see the Quran up there collecting dust.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Man.
That's the pure book.
Yeah.
He didn't lie. He said that's the pure book. He said the Bible has been tampered with it, and the Torah and all that. But that right there is the pure book, and put it up there. And and Wallace tried to say, Imam said he meant mentally, but no, it was symbolic. You know what I mean? Put it in the highest part of your body, your mind, or something like that. But we didn't. We didn't. Because I'd have read it, I'm like, oh my God, we'd have been in a world of trouble and stuff like that.
Yeah. So to make this relatable to you, your grandson's girlfriend was black, white, Asian?
Black.
So by that definition, shouldn't a black woman be the devil?
I don't believe.
Because you said do harm, right? Do harm.
In Islam, we don't consider a human being being a devil.
We
believe that it's a angel, a spirit. We call it a jinn. Mm-hmm. That a black, that you can't be a devil. You might do devilish things, you know what I mean? But you cannot be a devil. Matter of fact, I was married to a woman I was madly in love with. She's beautiful. Fred, she was out of a magazine, and I loved her really. But I was a polygamist, and she was a Christian, and she married me. And we ended up breaking up, and a lot of things had to leave, the Jaguar and that condo on the ocean and all that stuff. And she became very angry at me, and she called me the devil. And I haven't spoke to her since. And Fred said, why you didn't speak to her? I said, she called me the devil. He said, oh man, they Christians don't mean that. They just talking. I said, no, that's a serious thing in Islam. That's God-hated enemy. So, you can't relate to that. You got to understand it was reverse. It was reverse. It was reverse, man. That you took uneducated people, you start making them read lessons.
But that's the trick. Now you're having a cathartic experience now. Yeah. Now probably you had it already, obviously, because you were sooner now, but that's the reality, to pick on the low-hanging fruit.
Right. But what I'm saying to you, they needed help. You're right. But that's what we brought up. They needed help. And that's what made it even great, because I never forget, I had a cousin, and I was telling my mother, oh yeah, I bought some things from this guy named Tommy. And she said, Tommy? She said, I think you got a cousin named Tommy. I said, what's the last name? Harry. She said, little Tommy? Oh my God, he was the worst junkie in the world. He was a junkie in the lane street, like Howard Street. The guy that Nate drove the car and wrote the book. Tommy was supposed to go, but he was all drugged up and stuff like that. So, they do the same thing in all religions. Like they say, some people think religion is like a drug.
Right.
in the age, that's what they give you, a higher power, right?
Right.
You know, I'm just saying to you, you can't just pick on Elijah.
No, I'm not. I'm just.
No, and then what they do, man. I'm telling you, I've been thinking all my life that Jesus was the white man up there on that top of that church, man. You know what I mean? That's subliminal seduction. I looked in the mirror, man. I see Superman. I was Robin Hood too. My mother caught me jumping off that refrigerator. That's what you're doing. I'm Robin Hood. She whooped my butt, man.
Right,
you know?
right.
So I'm just saying it was all subliminal seduction, but it made people better. It made people.
I get
better.
that. I get that.
You know, so I mean, it's what's going on. I mean, the church, because we, you know, a lot of us I wasn't attracted to the church. My mother did the right thing. I went to church. I was baptized and everything. They thought I was going to be something. I was in a junior course and everything. Right. But I was in the '60s. I wasn't attracted to that. I wasn't attracted to Martin Luther King either.
Right.
I was attracted more to the nationalist movement. You know what I mean? You know, it would attract me. But what attracted me was Muhammad Ali.
Right.
I'm telling you straight up. And it was brothers in my area that was Muslim, and nobody messed with them.
Right.
Nobody messed with the sister walking down the street with her longs on, man. I don't care what you're doing. The sister walked by in the project. Yeah, everybody chill. The sister coming by. Look at the image that he gave us. Get, I'm listening to you now.
No, and that's a beautiful experience. But it doesn't last a lifetime. Right? God lasts a lifetime.
I mean to that.
Cults and groups doesn't last.
But I keep telling you it's not a cult because you can't walk out of a cult.
Well, yes, it's
am I right? I mean,
cults are mental.
What I was watching,
it's not just physical. It's not like, and then you gotta look at it from how it elevated. It elevated into the Church of Scientology. Like that's like now they have. I own a building not across the street, but a few blocks away from Church of Scientology, and you see the Nation of Islam on Sunday morning in the front of the Church of Scientology. They're people. So the elevation. See how it elevates and it elevates and it elevates. So that's what I'm saying. I understand. Like, for example, there is rap songs that has inspired me to maybe do some good things. I can't recall off the top of my head. There are drug dealers that may inspire me to get money. But at the end of the day, the big picture is like, man, it's leading us to hell. Like rap music, I would never play rap music in my house. Like with my, now I'm not gonna sit there and say I don't listen to it when I drop the kids off at school or my daughter off at school and I'm in the car by myself and I can handle it. But I would never put on my Bluetooth Jay-Z. You know, I
married this Muslim and she was like, she wore a veil and everything, you know. They call it like Salafi, it's a movement. And she said, you know, she didn't want to listen to the radio, you know what I mean? For me and my son. And my son said, yeah, you don't listen to the radio, but your little sons know every rap song.
Yeah.
So the best of you, Fred. The best of you, man. You know what I mean? I adapted this stuff, man.
It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. I'm not gonna sit there and say it's easy.
Hey, I like the beats and everything like that and all that, but I wasn't saying the things they were saying. That's why the Public Enemy and a couple other ones, you know, they were saying some good things. With that crossover, you know, the crossroads and stuff. Sometimes you see some real good things. Like what I like the Jay-Z song? I like the Cry song.
Yeah.
Because what it did was together, the phone cry. And then he messed up, man, but he blew her. And that happens to most of us when we get money. You know? Right. You know, I like that song, but I'm a Miles Davis, I'm listening to Nancy, I'm listening to Sarah Vaughan and everything, I'm going way down. I'm listening to Barbra Streisand. I'm a big Barbra Streisand person.
No, there are 4-leaf clovers in hip hop. There are needles in a haystack in hip hop. I can't sit here and lie to you. And I'm not. I told people a long time ago, music is the biggest drug ever created.
But let me get you a question. I want to know that because I've been wondering. What's your problem with Shakur?
My problem with Shakur is, one, he was standing next to that rapper that got murdered.
That's because he was with Jay Prince, right?
Yes.
Okay, right. Okay.
Well, he's a grown man. He's a
Right,
grown
but
man.
that's what, you know,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. His son was Jay Prince's son was the orchestrator of that party, or maybe it was his birthday party, a friend's party, or something. I saw him in the video,
right?
And as they were leaving that party at a bowling alley or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, right? If you're standing beside or in the vicinity of a man, now let's elevate it for the sake of this conversation, a black man getting murdered.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be, in your Muslim, Shakur Stevenson, there has to be a level of accountability.
Okay, well, first he's not a Muslim.
Okay,
the majority of the family is.
Okay, the majority of the family, so that's why his name is Shakur.
Yeah,
okay,
right. But what I'm saying is, he said somebody asked him a question recently because he's been doing because of this big signing. He's been doing a lot of PR and stuff.
Right.
And he said, "What changed your mind?" He said, "To stay in the gym." And he said, "I go home. I don't do the clubs or nothing like that." It scared him straight. So even though it was a bad situation, it was the right effect.
I hope it did.
Want to be a junkie because I see real junkies, man.
Absolutely. That's why I never did drugs or alcohol.
Man,
absolutely right.
Oh my God, I real junkies. The hand be swollen. And my mother in the restaurant, and they had to eat every day. They would come in and they get a bowl of beans, and they get 2 slices of bread and some water, and they would come in. They didn't wash and stuff, and they would go out and steal and everything. But that was the customer. So by her own that business, she had the white collar person, the mechanic. She had all these people. So it exposed me to different. And one thing I did not want to be was a drug addict, and I didn't want to be a wino.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You know. No. Again, I'm listening.
No. So I hope that's see, we all can learn from.
But let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Have you seen him? You know, I was talking about. I'm thinking about graduating him in my school because he never got a high school diploma. You know that, right?
Shakur?
Yeah, he never got a high school diploma.
Yeah, if he earned it, sure, he should get a high school diploma.
I'm thinking about from what because that was a with him and Shannon. That was he's articulate now. His vocabulary is more intense now. His understanding. I mean, you don't see the growth. I mean, just in the fight game and the growth, but the intellectual part.
I would agree with that. I would agree that he has advanced intellectually. I also would fight back on. He's 6. I don't care. He's still older than you. like I disagree with you, but I can't challenge you. You understand what I'm saying? Like I can't do it. I only can respectfully say no, I disagree.
But his respect was, and he said it was, I keep calling you uncle, so I'm giving you respect.
Yeah.
But you're going in with me, and then you know the dumbest people I ever seen was when somebody call you ignorant and they get angry at it.
Yeah,
it really means just lack of knowledge, Yeah,
lack of knowledge, and then you gotta also be angry at Shannon Sharp for saying, "I would fight you." You're his uncle. Why is this conversation going to fight?
How many views? How many did Shannon Sharp?
It's going to do billions over the course of everybody's.
So he's gonna make all that money
because people share it, and you know what I mean, and stuff like that. So it's going to do phenomenal number. And then you pull it and put it on Twitter and Instagram and all that. So it's
intellectual. His growth. Because even my man Smooth is sitting here. He said, "Man,
I agree.
He's growing." And then, like he said, "Look, man, we talking about a street fight. I'm from Newark. You got bad knees, right? You got bad knees, bro. You better leave me alone."
and then how funny, Shakur is now 29 years old.
Right.
That's astounding. Like, dang, he been in the game that long. He's 29. Right, man. So I would.
But Wally said, last time I talked to him, Wally said, "Well, the one right behind him." He said, "It's 3 more behind him, and they're good, and they're all his grandchildren."
Right.
He said, "It's like together, it's like 8 of them." Right. He said that's why he don't want to really train nobody else. He just training his grandkids.
No, yeah, absolutely.
And Shakur is the manager.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not the manager of his business. He's the manager of his family. Whenever they come out to fight, they manage it and stuff like that. So.
Right.
It's becoming sophisticated now. The game is becoming sophisticated.
Agreed.
And the house ain't all that extravagant. I haven't seen it. it's a nice house, but it's not like you got like Holyfield. Remember Holyfield had that house in Atlanta, 60,000 square feet and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then you got him that we religion, God, and everything, and he knocking everything off in the world.
Yeah. He had a great time. I used to see Evander Holyfield at fight. So, like Evander Holyfield had a great life. I'll just leave it at that. But I would also, to heighten it, Shakur Stevenson, if he graduated from your high school, it should be a classroom named after him, a building named after him. Like he should donate $50,000 or whatever you ask of it. Because
I'll do it. Let me tell you something. If I do it, it's gonna be at no cost. I'm so proud of his accomplishments and that he's an image for Newark. Everywhere he goes, he Newark.
Right.
Marvin Hagler was from Newark, same age as I was. He left at 15. You didn't even know he was from Newark. He said he was from Massachusetts. Shaq says it, and he's doing some things. He's doing some big things with the mayor. He got 4 buildings that's like a total of maybe altogether maybe about 200 floors, but they're luxury buildings.
Okay,
they're all luxury buildings. It's not. They say affordable, but it's BS. Because you still got to make there $70,000, and what's affordable in Newark is you make $30,000-$40,000 a year. That's the average.
Well, I'll disagree with you on that. One, on the ground floor is if you can give your money to Nike and Jacob the jeweler, you can give your money to your community. 2, that does wonders. Shakur Stevenson with one of them big checks does wonders for the community. It changes the whole stereotypical image of a inner city child, whether he's black, white, Mexican, tall or brown. Right. It does wonders for him. And Shakur watches all my stuff too, so that's something that I'm going to talk about because I didn't know he didn't graduate from high school, and that's not
Shannon threw in his face.
Yeah, but my mom didn't graduate from high school.
Yeah,
my mom went back and got her GED. So
I just graduated a woman yesterday. No, today.
Yeah.
70 years old.
Yeah. So
and for 30 years, she's been working as an assistant in a library.
Yeah. See my point?
She won a bigger job at 70 years old. So when you go to the county college here in New Jersey and you're a senior citizen, it's free.
So that's not nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
To look at yourself in the mirror and say, I failed at something. Now I'm going to go back and fix it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
because that bothered me a little bit with Shannon, the way he went in, we call it scuba diving. You know how you scuba diving and stuff like that is it, man. But his respect is when they do. My man sitting here right now, he hates these kids. And he ain't talking about kids. He talking about people your age. Right. They don't have respect. Like some of these council people, these people promise they like I be telling them things and they don't listen. And he like you know more than you ever think, and they think they think they know more than everything. And so it's a different situation where you're right. At my age, I wouldn't have been arguing. I would have gave him a pass. I would have gave her adult a pass. My mother would have made me give her adult a pass.
Absolutely right. Absolutely.
But what I'm saying is, it was, to me, it was like Shannon set a trap, and he got caught in the trap.
Shannon actually got caught in the trap.
That's right. He set a trap. He set a trap.
He set his own trap. He's his own boogeyman.
Right, and put himself in there, man.
Yeah, absolutely right.
The kid was still smiling and stuff.
Right.
And Ocho was like, "Yeah, I wish the car." I wish the car. He's like, I got more money than you. He said, "Yeah, when I get your age, we'll match up then." We can match up. That shouldn't even be the conversation. Like, but he lost it. He lost.
Yeah. Oh, facts. No, without a shadow of a doubt.
But what he said was by him seeing that, and he said the guy was really cool with him. Mm-hmm. He said by him seeing that, he said he goes to the gym and he goes home. He don't do the clubs.
I'm happy. That makes me smile.
That's what Captain Leon get angry at because he never should have left Newark. I said, nah, he couldn't leave. You had to leave Newark. Shit, I left Newark. I mean, I still have my business here, but I went 40 miles away, man, to 6 acres and stuff, man. And I seen a different life of my kids and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Man, listen.
Sometimes you got to go somewhere to see to see where where you come from and stuff. You ever go back to your parents' house and say, damn, I used to be in that little small room.
Exact small house, right? Yeah.
I'm like, damn, and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
I like the growth and everything. So when I see you talk about him and stuff, I was like, I gotta talk to Fred and stuff, but I don't want to take one.
I'm glad you brought that up because I would be a huge advocate of Shakur going back, getting his high school diploma, not in a disrespectful manner,
right.
but for the young men and women that support him. I think that would be a beautiful thing, and it's a big message. Like I'm shocked he hasn't brought that up. Maybe he feels shameful about it, but
you don't think about it when you got $25 million.
Right.
You don't think about it. Like,
makes sense.
I think it was Shaq that went and got a degree, right? He went and got a master's degree.
Yeah. He has some honorary doctorates as well. So he's done. Who was Herbert Muhammad? Who is he? How intimate was your relationship with Herbert Muhammad? We talked a lot about him in our last interview, but I didn't get the relationship.
He was one of the older sons to the Elijah Muhammad.
And what was his relationship to you?
In relation to me, I was like a little brother when he talked to me on the phone. Maybe one time I sat with him. I sat with him, me and Butch one time. He was in town, and we found out he was in town. We went to the hotel and sat with him like 5 hours. And Butch sat there like a little kid listening to him. You know what I mean? Like a big teacher. And he was happy the way Butch was handling Don King. He was happy the way Butch was handling Aaron. He was very proud of Butch for that. That he was handling them and stuff. Because you remember Don had sued them when he pulled out and fought Cooney.
Right.
Because they had a tournament. I don't know if you're old enough to remember, it was a tournament. And Tyson got in a tournament.
Right.
And he said, my man ain't fighting. Michael Spinks ain't fighting no Tyson for no $3 million. That was the $3.5 million. He said, man, we ain't. But it was Butch was smart enough to have in the agreement that if they could fight Cooney, they could pull out.
Right.
So they pulled out for Cooney at $9 million. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And what happened was it ended up, a couple more fights, then it became Tyson. And that's when he told me about Donald Trump. He said, "Ali, the guy got an ego, man." He said, "All you gotta do is feed his ego." Because Don paid like Trump paid like almost $19 million for site feed. Remember? And you gotta understand that was 1988. So site feed, that would be like maybe about $50 million now, $60 million.
Yeah. For Tyson Spinks, right?
Yeah, about 50, 60 million. In the day's money, it would be about 50, 60 million.
Yeah, Spinks got $13.5 million for that fight.
Right, that's right. And then he got some other money. He got like another 6, so he got 19 million.
True. How much did Tyson get for that fight?
Oh, we don't know how much Tyson get because we don't know what Don gave.
Right.
And stuff like that. The most money he got is when he came home from jail.
Mm-hmm.
Because Butch was in his ear too.
Mm.
When he became a Muslim and Butch was in his ear, he was supposed to go with Butch.
I'm sure.
He was supposed to go with Butch, and when he came, Butch didn't want to be part of the circus at the jail.
Mm.
And he made a mistake because Don was there with the car, rushed him in, and then he's like, "We going to the airport," and he said, "No, I want to go to the masjid." And he's like, "No, we going to the airport." He said, "I want to go to the masjid. I'm gonna get out this car." And then they went to the masjid and everything. And Butch said he could hear on the phone, but Don went and got $5 million from I think it was Showtime or one of those casinos in bags, and have people put the bags in and saying, "They doing it to me, champ. Just like they locked you up. They want to lock me up, champ." He said he can hear Don crying, right? "Look what I got for you." All cash in big sacks of money. And that's how he went back with Don.
Yeah, Don was a great salesman now. He was one of the best.
Yeah, he sure was, man. He sure was. He said, "Man," but say he can hear it on the phone and stuff. Because somebody put the phone and stuff, But right. he said, I said, "You made a big mistake." He said, "I should have been at the jail." You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So when he went they took him right to the masjid, and Ali was there. And Ali like, "Nigga, you a Muslim, huh?" Ali is crazy.
Right.
You a Muslim, nigga, huh? You really a Muslim and stuff, man, And but Don had $5 million, Butch told me. And you could hear him crying because they're gonna put me in jail because that's when John had another tax evasion on it. They doing it to me, Champ. You can't. They doing it to the black man and stuff like that. But he did stomp Don out in front of the Four Seasons. You know, he stomped him in the ground.
I'm sure that happened multiple times.
Yeah,
yeah.
And Don took that because Don is a big man. But you know that you've been down.
Yeah, I've been around him. Yeah.
He took that, yeah. But Shakur, I like his growth, and I like the idea what Wally and them are doing, you know. And what they're doing is they're developing a dynasty in boxing. And the way they're gonna do it is they're gonna keep it in the family.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like Jay Prince now, you know, it's sometimes a street guy can relate to you because you come from the street more so than an intellectual.
Right.
Like if you would have bought a professor, you know what I mean?
Right.
Economics, you know, he wouldn't understood that. But Jay, you know, getting homie and you understand homie and stuff, man. You know, it's deep. It's deep because that's what Shakur come from, and it is probably attractive.
I get that.
Yeah, you know, it attracted them and stuff. So he went with Jay. It seemed like it's worked out. Now he got Keyshawn.
Yes.
Now that Abdullah Muhammad family, that Mason family is something special.
Yeah. I like him.
Yeah, you can see they're practicing the religion, you know?
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah.
I definitely like him a lot. Was Butch Lewis Christian or Muslim?
Christian, but he would tell you he's Muslim and Christian, but he can't. His ex-wife asked me at the funeral, did he ever come to Christianity? Did he ever become a Muslim? I said, why? He said he prayed like y'all, he ate like y'all. No.
Now y'all was tight as two thieves, correct?
Yeah, that's why. That's why people thought he became a Muslim.
Wow.
You know? Plus, he threatened me with people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the Muslims in Newark were dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And he would call, hey, don't make me call Newark on you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I told you I got threatened one time.
Oh, I'm sure you have.
Yeah, over Bernard Hopkins.
Oh, yeah, with the Don Hubbard situation?
No. When they came up to, they sent somebody up to my office, my chiropractor office, and asked me, could I stay out of it because I was a Muslim? To make that Butch and Bernard was happening, you know?
Wow.
And, you know, and I called him. I was like, yo, man, that's how I talk. Yo, man, how much you got in the bank? You know, I don't know, man, about 20. You know, I can't count it. I was like, nigga, how much you got? He said, I got about 20, 25, you know, because he's very careful with his money. I said, that's a lot of money.
And you're talking about Butch, correct?
Butch Lewis, yes.
Okay.
Yes, and he had about 25, 30 million. I said, bro, that's a lot of money. House was paid for. He said, everything paid for. The beach house paid for. I said, you sure you want to do this? Because these jokers in Philly, they kill babies.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to let nobody bother you, but I'm getting ready to go to my condo in Boca Raton.
Right.
Do we need this? I made him think about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I said, now, I'm getting ready to go now. I ain't want nobody to hurt you. But what he did was friendship, but he also used me to be his hammer if he needed, you know what I'm saying? You know.
Isn't it funny how all the promoters had a Nation of Islam arm?
Yeah.
Had a descendant. Bob Arum had one. Don King had one. Butch Lewis had one. Murad Muhammad had one.
You're right. You know, and they did that and stuff. Because I remember at his funeral, all the actors and they was coming up to me. And, you know, they was like, I'm always glad to meet you and stuff. Denzel had met me at his house. And Bob Johnson, we was making a toast. I think it was for his 60th birthday. No, his 50th birthday, right? And I said, I don't drink no more, but I'm going to make a toast. And Bob Johnson was a real smart aleck, you know, the owner of BT.
Yeah.
And Butch was like, man, chill, man. This is... Let me tell you who this person is. And I like, no, leave him alone, B. I said, a man worth billions of dollars, man. He just a little arrogant. I don't got no problem with him. But Denzel, like, see me 10 years later, so I remember you. I remember what you had on and everything. He said, I remember who you was and stuff.
Butch and Denzel were real close.
Yeah. He was. Yeah, he was. When he died, Denzel would walk by you, his face was so deformed from the pain. Wow. But it was a guy like Butch to keep you straight. You know, like Butch told me the story one time. Denzel said, I'm going to slow down on the movies and stuff. Man, I don't want to play myself out. So Butch said, yeah, you are? He said, yeah, man. He said, what you up to now? He said, 2025. He said, damn, it's a lot of money, D. Call him that. He said, hey, when last time you heard from Sidney Poitier? And Denzel said, what? He said, when last time somebody heard from Sidney Poitier? He said, I will leave you like that and stuff, right?
Right.
So about a week, 2 weeks later, Butch called and said, hey, man, where you at? He said, I'm doing this movie. I thought about what you said. I'm going to get this money while I get it.
Right.
So Butch is a guy that can keep it real with you. And his ideas was, let's do a black agency. They were supposed to have the first casinos outside of Philly. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? His ideas were great and stuff like that, you know? Because he told me the great story when he was with Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan, he was telling Michael Jordan they was playing cards. And Michael Jordan said, but you a Muslim? So he said, why you say I'm a Muslim? He said, because you talk black. Everything is black. He said, bro, you didn't understand to bring the table. He said, no, I'm just telling you, man. You know, you talk black. You talk black. I thought you was Muslim. He said, no, it ain't that I'm Muslim, man. I'm just trying to tell you. But when I had my team, I had the two teams, Butch called Michael Jordan, man, and sent me so many boxes, so much gear, man. Outfitted my whole teams.
Wow.
The phone call, Butch said, that's my man. You know, sent himself, man. They pulled up to my office, man. Trailer loads coming out of there.
Who did Butch Lewis invest in that we know nothing about? Like he helped you with your school, correct, Butch Lewis?
No, maybe I wanted a donation money. No, not extravagant. Only thing that happened, he gave me 10 grand one time, and he was supposed to get Denzel and him to give me some money, and he didn't. But let me tell you what he did. It enlightened him for my story to start. He started putting kids in the black schools. He was doing, came up with scholarship money. He started putting 50 kids in a year. He did it for like 10 years.
Right.
He had a relationship with all he was big on Morehouse.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, he was big on Morehouse.
Right. Morehouse, man.
We wanted my son to go to Morehouse. And my son applied and got accepted, of course. And went to say, Mr. Lewis, he said, I just want to tell you that I got accepted to Morehouse and I did it for you. And he said, oh, you going? He said, no, I got accepted also to Georgetown, NYU, and Cornell. And he said, no, you got to go to Georgetown. He said, that's better for you. He said, you got to prove that to me, Mr. Lewis.
Right.
He said, you just talking theory. I could prove that Georgetown and Cornell is a better school for me. I could prove it. I can. He did. He wrote him a whole 4-page report on it.
Wow.
Because I used to say that the black schools were good incubators.
Right.
For the deficiency from the students coming in. Because like you can't, like his Rutgers Newark, the average student in Newark coming out of Newark High School is not going to make it in Rutgers. They're not going to make it. But if you put them in Shaw or Delaware State or Lincoln, they're babysitting because the first 2 years is going to probably be high school.
That's not a compliment to HBCUs, man.
Hey, man. I'm not talking about Spelman, I'm not talking about Howard, but I'm telling you, man. And a lot of my students, bro, listen to me. I got them in there, right? And they would call me and I said, don't worry. They're like, but I'm deficient, brother Ali. I said, the person in Philly, the person in Delaware, the person in Washington, and they would call me back and say, you right. They just as dumb as I am. I feel good. I'm not lying to you. Because what I'm saying to you, urban America, you get a deficient education, man. It's a deficient education. You cannot take your children and put them with somebody in the hood. Right. There's no comparison, man. Right. Like my son, I said, you got to make sure your son, he got a 5-year-old son, you got another son, you got to make sure he's reading ready. He said, reading ready? I said, reading ready? I had you read ready in kindergarten. He said, in the first grade at Mendham, you were reading 100 books a year. How you going to compete with that in the hood where they not reading ready probably to the 3rd grade? If they reading ready then.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, you go to college, you go to a college where they're going to incubate you. And I'm just making it real. I got to give it real. And what happened, I sent a lot of kids. Now some of my better ones, you know what I'm saying? More challenging, I point them to somewhere else and stuff like that. I remember one day I was on Facebook, man. Howard people was coming out of Whitworth's arguing with me, man. We was arguing for 3 days and stuff. then it's so funny. Both of my daughters went to HBU, right?
Mhm.
And my oldest daughter, he got a master's degree and everything and all that stuff, right? And she says, "Isn't my dad funny?" But he gonna argue with y'all all day and stuff because he know what he's talking about. You know, we know what he's talking about because I don't have thousands of people. When you have thousands of people, you learn. Like athletes is different now. Athletes is different. Because they're gonna incubate you. They're gonna put people there. They're gonna give you tutors. They're gonna incubate you. I got athletes, man, that barely could do something that end up having degrees. You follow me? But they give you that support system. The whole thing is to get you in there. But what I'm saying is that's different. But regular people, they get blown out, man. In Georgetown, they were doing in the freshman year, they were doing 20-page papers.
Sheesh.
In freshman year.
Sheesh.
So what I'm saying is, you gotta, come on, man, we gotta do this stuff and stuff. I'm just making it real to you. So you don't want to blow the kid. You don't want to blow the kid out by taking them. Let me share how cold it was. When he got sick and he started going to my school, I sent him to Drew, which is a challenging university, and I sent him to Rutgers in Newark. And Rutgers, he took English 101. When he went to Georgetown, they wouldn't even accept that. They said, we don't go that low. Ain't that something?
Yeah.
They said, we can't even give him credit for that.
Sheesh.
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
You can't give them credit for English 101. So when you comparing something like that, and they were successful. Even if they didn't graduate, they got the experience of seeing black kids, the 11th and 12th graders. You follow me? The 11th and 12th graders become great human beings. We had a big argument at Butch House one time. Me and my son, he was about 11 years old. And we had came up there. We just stopped up. I was buying some shoes on the east side. He lived on 63rd and 2nd. And he had a kid there that was the valedictorian of Georgetown. I mean, of Morehouse, right? And Butch is so crazy, he was trying to get him in Harvard Law, right? He had to take the LSAC, but he was trying to get it done, And we started talking, and the young man was saying about his SAT score, and my son, I said, what's your SAT? He said this. He said his SAT score is higher than mine, and he only 11 years old. So we going back and forth and everything. So I say, Amir, what do you need to go in Stanford? Here, blah, blah, blah. You need this, you need that. Where you need to go here, you need this, you need that, this and that. So the young man that's knowing, he said, man, this guy is smarter than me right now, and I just graduated from Georgetown. I mean, from Morehouse. Wow. But I tried to say this. And Butch said, but he only 11 years old. I said, what do you want me to do, man? You know what I mean? What do you want me to do, right? Right. He said, I'm just telling you. Don't get offended. You don't get offended. You didn't get offended because you said, oh, you're knocking the black schools. No, I'm not knocking Spelman. I'm not knocking Howard. I'm not knocking Morehouse. There's a few of them, but the rest of them are incubators.
But the truth is the truth.
That's right. That's incubators, man. And some of them, when they come out of there, when they get to that junior and senior year, make some great people come out of it. Some great people came out of it. Because remember, let's don't get cute. Howard didn't want to be called the black school. You remember?
Well, Howard was
the black Harvard. They wanted to be recognized as Harvard. They in '68 when they walked out and did that school, walked out the students said Ungawa Black Power, Ungawa Black Power. When the woman that was the prom queen came out in the afro.
Mm-hmm.
Them old stuff shirts down there did not want to be called the black school in Howard. And that was in 1968. I teach that in my civil rights class.
I'm glad you shared that with me. Now I'm going to go research that.
Go research it. They the big one, they didn't want to. They wanted black studies and they wanted this in Howard. They wanted to be identified with Harvard.
Howard is named after a white abolitionist too.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's deep, but then look it up, man. Look it up.
I definitely will.
Ida Prize talks about it real good.
Who?
The Ida Prize.
Okay.
The video, the DVD Ida Prize, the whole series.
Yeah.
Talks about that. What happened. With the students walked out and everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was Butch Lewis' relationship with Nelson Mandela?
Oh, great.
Talk about that. Yeah, because he actually gave him the highest humanitarian award in South Africa. But
yes.
Were you over there when that happened? Did you go?
I wasn't there, but man, I was on the set one time at the office. Oh, he loved him. He loved Butch. Matter of fact, it was funny because when Bob Johnson you know, when Clinton was going out, he got together a billionaire club, you know, and they were going around. He was going out there. He was making deals for them, and they went to South Africa and they see Mandela, and Bob Johnson, Bob, he's Butch. He saw Butch didn't come. I love Butch. You know, some people they like feisty guys and stuff like that. And Butch, like he said, was smart enough. I let him be the speaker at one of my graduations, right? And he told them that he was accepted to West Point on the football thing, and he was that good academically. But when his grandmother died, he just fell apart. But you can see that he was really bright because of the level that he achieved.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Because like I told you, we were sitting at that table in the Hilton, that long table, and the only 2-3 educated people in there was myself, Butch Lewis, and Don King. And then Bill Cosby walked in, and he had a PhD. You know? But, you know, I just want you to see another side of Shakur, and I wanted to give you the idea.
No, you definitely helped it.
Yeah. That
1,000%. You definitely helped it.
And because his language, you know, my man said, man, he's speaking, you know, it's intelligent and stuff like that. And, you know, it just like he said something. He said he don't like to go in on black people. He said that on somebody's show. He said he don't like to go in on black people, but, you know.
Well, he saw a black man get murdered.
And
his manager is Jay Prince. It sounds good. It sounds good.
Hey, you're right. What you gonna do? You know, it's just, you know, I have a friend that just came home 37 years.
Wow.
Federal prison, 37 years. And he came out on compassion. He was never supposed to come out. He was supposed to have the Nicky Barnes life plus 50. And he just came home. He's around here now. And the first thing he said was, when he came off the train in North Penn Station, and there was 500 people out there waiting for him. They wasn't waiting for him. Let me show you how crazy it was. They wasn't waiting for him because how smart he was. They was waiting on him because he was a legend drug dealer. Ain't that something?
Yeah.
And let me tell you what he said. He said, I'm out, and I was the problem. Now I want to be the solution. That's what he said. I was the problem. Because he was the Nicky Barnes of Newark, you know. You know, you probably seen him. He was in Don Diva with the fur coat on and stuff. Matter of fact, he was the first magazine he did. He was in Don Diva and stuff like that. And what he did, he put pictures.
What's his name?
Akbar Prey.
Okay.
Akbar Prey. And what he did was he put pictures in. There was some pictures with me and him at parties together. And people thought, he was a big drug dealer for years. And people said, I ain't never sell no drugs. You know what I mean? But what he did, he didn't put nobody in there that was he put somebody in there legit to try to show that he was legit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, he wrote about 3 books. He wrote about 3 books. Stinson never went past the 10th grade. Extremely articulate. You know, look him up. Articulate. You know, it just the street. They brought him over to debate Malcolm when he was 13 years old. He knew all the lessons. He had a photographic memory, and they brought him over to debate Malcolm. And Malcolm would debate him and stuff. He's 13 years old and stuff.
Wow.
But he went to the street and he became the biggest guy here and everything. And they gave him life. And you know, he got on a compassion. And you know, matter of fact, the lawyer got him out was the one. You know, they had the TV series about the guy that got locked up and he became a lawyer in jail. Yeah. Yeah, that's what got him out.
Oh, okay. The one that 50 Cent did.
Yeah.
Charles, right?
Yeah. They got him out. Brilliant. Nicky Barnes was probably brilliant. You know what I'm saying? They were brilliant, man. I mean, with Frank Lucas, the idea that he thought of was to put in the casket. You know, who want to open up a casket? You know what I mean? I mean, it was just, you know, Bumpy Johnson, right?
Right.
Brilliant, but they just went on the wrong road. And then what was our image? It wasn't guys like you, Fred, because guys like you moved from out of Newark, they moved to West Orange and South Orange.
Sure.
You know, and they, you know, and the image was the number writer, the drug dealer, the gambler. You know, because I wanted to be a gambler. You know. Right. You know, I didn't want to be a drug dealer. I had a mentor that told me I like to see you use your mind and stuff like that. But it was deep. It was deep. It's deep.
Yeah. We're not conditioned to chase degrees and businesses. We're meant to chase money and women for a large part. You get what I'm saying?
Right. But that's the image. Because some of the more prominent people would know, like, oh, what are you out there for and stuff. And that's it, because that's what we heroes, drug dealers are our heroes. That's crazy, man.
Isn't that sick? Isn't
That's
that
crazy,
sick?
man.
Isn't that sick? The thought
you had the women, you had the clothes, you had the car, you was respected.
Right. I respect nothing about it. I
always wanted to sit at the long table with the corporate, but that's why the mob and back in the day, the street guys, I knew they wore suit and ties,
right?
Because they wanted to protect the business image and stuff.
Sure,
I wanted to be head of a corporation, man, sitting at the top of the, I was fascinated by that,
right?
But the average person, they wanted to get a Rolls Royce and whatever. A Cadillac back then, it was Cadillacs with me, and Lincolns, Cadillacs with Lincoln, and then the girls would be all over you and stuff, man. So it's deep, man.
Right.
I think I believe the glass is half full because we got guys like you.
Well, yeah, and yeah.
But you don't get the viewership.
Right.
Talk about that.
Right. How was speaking of viewership? How was the response from our last interview?
I think like 17,000
in your community.
I
need to clip it up so it can do millions.
Yeah.
If I could, it'll do millions.
Some people were angry at me, because they felt I, disclosed some secrets, and I didn't. I just told the truth, Some people got a better understanding. I got a lot of phone calls from people,
right?
That even some Muslims that wanted to talk to me about it, and it was a big reaction. Some people didn't like it, you know what I mean? Some people they're like, oh, he said that, he shouldn't have said that. Look, man, let's stop pretending. You know what I mean? This is what happened, and this is what it was. Right. I can, like some people say, oh, like you said, the nation, all of it was good. No, you had some problems. And I told them, even in Newark, we try to keep the corruption outside the mosque, where the minister did keep it outside of the mosque. But how did he get? He was assassinated. He was shot. He was violently killed. You know what I mean? So, but it was, it was something. It was something. But I got a lot of texts from people that really, they said they learned so much from it and stuff.
Right.
And like some people, I was reading something. Yeah, man. At least we finally tell the truth and everything. We finally saying what's going on and stuff like that. So it was good. It was good. It's good. It was
right.
Good.
Have you heard from William Bradley's wife?
Oh no, I tell you, we don't like each other.
I noticed that. That's
people
why.
People tell me they go to the house and stuff, and she be like, "I'm going downtown to shoot that nigga Ali."
Oh, is that? Why is William Bradley's wife? For those of you who don't know, William Bradley is the man that was in the who carried the shotgun that murdered Max. Yes. So why is the hatred so high between your wife and yourself? His wife and yourself.
Well, because the first place, I'm not about to know the yes person. The second place, I just, it was BS, man. You got to tell the truth, bro. You got to tell the truth. You got to tell the truth. You got to live by the truth and stuff like that, And she, like I said, she was a wonderful woman. She did some great things, but she did a lot of crazy things. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that Hurricane Carter thing. Y'all sell out the garden. You had John Denver, Muhammad Ali there, and there was no money.
Right.
So what happened to that money? You follow me? So
I get it. Yeah.
But she all right. But people still say, she's still alive, and people just say, oh man, she's still, that's her situation. But a lot of people she fell out with because people realized that she was mentally ill.
Right.
Mentally ill.
I rewatched this week. I rewatched our interview when I knew we was doing the interview.
Right.
You and William Bradley were close.
Very
close. Like I rewatched and I said, wow, how did I miss that in the interview? I mean, y'all were close to the point where you hired him. Yeah,
very, very close. And even, like I said, in the later years when he did good things, like they would have amateur boxing shows. Because Wally, that was one of the gyms that Shakur's grandfather used to be.
Yeah.
But they didn't treat him right, and he left. You follow me? They didn't treat him right and everything. And we were very, very close. And when he did things positive, like they went to a show in the ballroom, usually 10 grand. I would go get it for 3,000. Anything positive. I wanted him to do. Especially if you was a street guy. I like street guys when they change the game.
I understand.
That's why I might be. Now I don't know him, but that's why I might look at Jay Prince a little different than you, because he changed the game and stuff where he made start making legitimate millions of dollars. And stuff
right.
And I think that's like I'm listening to all the kids when they talk to him. They said he's deep. You know what I mean? It's how they say it's like you would have been a good street guy because you're intelligent and you're smart and you put that together with the street.
It's dangerous.
You might have been doing 30, 40 years too.
Oh yeah. My cousins did 25 for murder, man. They did 25 for murder, man. They're out now. And one.
Yeah, I said he was able to work with the gangs, all of them.
Yeah,
that was what he did great in federal prison. That he was able to bring all the gangs around, and he taught them financial literacy. Amazing! It's amazing, and that was a part of why they wanted them to say let him out, huh?
Right. What did William Bradley say about Benjamin? What was their relationship?
Benjamin,
the one that actually went on a murder trip to get Malcolm.
It was no connection. It was. I mean,
William Bradley didn't know Benjamin.
Yeah, he knew Benjamin, but that was Minister James to pick the people.
So your minister James Shabazz picked
the people.
Okay.
He picked William. He picked Mustafa, and then he put people behind him. And like I tell you, some people I knew their friends turned it down.
Who turned it down?
It's a friend, Hassan Shabazz. He said that they came to him and he told him that Elijah Muhammad said leave him alone. You know what I mean? And it was another brother. I don't want to say his name. But Hassan is not around now. So but he definitely said they came to him. You know what I mean? And asked him to go.
So James Shabazz.
You never thought Benjamin. You thought he was a school teacher. That's why when they said it, I was like, damn, Benjamin. He was the secretary of the department. He didn't press you. He had little glasses on, a little small man, could have been more like 5'4", small build, 130, 40 pounds and stuff like that. But
what happened to Benjamin after 1965?
He just lived. He went on, died a natural life.
And he stayed in Newark, New Jersey as well.
He stayed in Newark. Had a family. Yes.
So you had a full relationship with Benjamin as well?
No, Benjamin was not my kind of guy. Benjamin was a square type of guy. He was more like would have been a father. We would have never be active. Mustafa was a guy that you looked out to. He's a tough guy. When you come from the street, you gravitate to tough people, strong people on the street. Mustafa was strong. And it's a situation one time. I argued with him when I was a kid. Well, I wasn't a kid. I was getting married, and he had said something to my wife, my fiance, and he didn't know it. And I stepped to him, and he looked at me, and he said, "Nah, it wasn't me. It was the little girl over there asked about the sister." So he was shy. So I asked him. He said, "Yeah, it's atleast, man. Atleast, back up, man." And he's like, I wasn't afraid of him. I don't know why. I was not afraid of him. I'm just telling you, man. It just I wasn't afraid of him, and I think he liked it that,
Yeah.
Like a little 110 pounds, 5'9", walked up to me like, "Man, what you doing?" You know what I mean? And even when in his later days, when he with the drugs and everything, I was like, "Buddy, what are you doing, man?" I could, like I tell you, I could say things to him that other people couldn't say because I didn't have any fear for him.
Now, what was his relationship like with James Shabazz? William Bradley.
Respected. The minister loved him.
Were they around the same age?
No, he was older.
William Bradley was older?
Yeah, Minister James was older.
James Shabazz.
They were the one in the 90s.
Obviously, because he went to jail with Elijah Muhammad, right?
Yeah. They were like 80. Mustafa would be like 86 now or something like that. 85,
wow.
86 like that. They would be 90s or early 100s. Yeah. 90s, like Farrakhan in them age. Because I think Farrakhan is 93.
Yeah, he's up there in age.
Yeah.
Wow. So when he worked for you,
Mhm.
I also got the sense in our interview that you, you know more than you told me.
No,
No. I'm talking about the actual events and the conversations and like the actual details.
no, I didn't. I don't. I gave you everything.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
gave you everything. No.
Because I would be
Well, that would
interested.
have made also if I knew more, I might have been complicit.
No, because it's well after the fact. You're not complicit.
Not murder. Not
Oh
murder.
yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but
Not murder and kidnapping, my brother.
okay.
So don't tell me about the bodies you got up there in Harlem and stuff, all right?
Mhm.
No,
Right.
no, I was looking, but I told you everything,
Hmm.
because
Because when I heard the line of you got him a job, I'm like, hold up. If you got him a job, then y'all spent an astronomical amount of
yeah, but
time
nobody
together.
talked about that. You know, let me tell you something about the street,
Right.
the real street
Yes.
in Smooth. Am I right? Nobody talk about you killing somebody. We
Right.
don't talk. You don't talk that. That was Smooth saying, yeah.
Right.
You
Right.
don't. You don't. That's one thing you don't talk about.
Right.
That's what's wrong with these young kids.
Oh yeah, they make Instagram videos
You
about it.
know, if I
Songs.
killed somebody, it must have been a reason, and I ain't gonna never talk about it. You know what I mean? That's just that's the real street life. You know what I mean? Maybe when somebody dead, say, oh man, he was the one that did something like that and stuff like that. But when they're alive, and he didn't want to talk about it because, W.D. Muhammad told the guy, uh, what's the name? Thea, what's his name? Thea, right? Told him to tell on him.
Mm-hmm.
He was mad as hell at Imam W.D. Muhammad. Couldn't say his name around him. I mean, he was upset, man, because they came down the wrong way and seen him. And he told them, and the brother's like, yeah, okay, tell them, and give them their names. See, that's how I mean about WD and stuff. It wasn't no cool with him, like, yo, man, all right, we ain't gonna say nothing. Give them the name. They killed my friend. Give them their names.
Wow.
Maybe the circumstance, but give them the names. And he gave it up.
Right.
And they went to see him.
Right. So when you see that, when you see that, because people ain't watched the first interview, when you see that, I'm encouraging everyone to go watch the first interview as well. When you see that video of that man walking away from that little fray in front of the Audubon, that looks exactly like William Bradley.
It is him. And you know what? It was like when the Malcolm X picture came out, right? And they were showing, different clips. And we were sitting there, and I was in my school, right? And we were sitting there, I said, oh man, they're gonna Mustafa right there. He walking away and stuff. And then it made up to the story I heard.
Wow.
That he was trying to protect the brother that got shot. He was acting like he was with Malcolm's people. Then when the police came, he pulled off and he walked away. And that fits the story that was told, that he was trying to protect him.
Get that.
Because he wasn't trying to leave him behind. You know how they say, because everybody else is gone and stuff like that. But but he jumped on him. He's a big guy, so they couldn't hit him like they want. And then when the cops came, because you see the cops pulling him off. When he pulled him off, he like bam, walked away.
Right.
You know what I mean? But he was a serious man. They don't blink eyes. They don't battle. Probably went home and ate dinner and stuff like that. And like I'm saying, and he was, like I said, he was respected in New York with Nicky Barnes in them. He was respected.
Speaking of New York, what was your relationship like with Yusef Shaw?
Oh, I loved him. I loved him. He was a true captain. He was a very nice man, but he was a captain, and I loved him. And like I told you, and I said before, when he would be valeting, open the door for Don King, I would tell Don, not to say, because Don was a little uncomfortable about me when I used to be around Butch, because he said I didn't say nothing. He said, a man over there in the corner never say nothing. He said, he all right, because I was just listening to what everybody was saying, And like I always told Butch, it's a difference between business and personal. You know what I'm saying about that?
Right.
Really, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, all right. Business. When you be jumping on people, it ain't personal, it's business.
Right.
But if you jumping on somebody because it's personally or you don't like them, then the repercussions be different.
I get that.
You know? Right. It's fair when you jump on people. That's what you do. You jump on people. But if you take it, then that's personal. And so Don was a little leery with me, and I will stop and I will say, and my guys look at me and say, "Top fruit, salute, brother captain." You know, to understand the world that he did and everything. W.D. Muhammad loved him. You know,
right?
W.D. Muhammad loved him. W.D. Muhammad, and he said he was dying to the day he died, and that Malcolm was Benedict Arnold. He said to the day he died.
I watched that.
Even though WD said he's all right, named the match, did after with everything. He was like, it's Benedict Arnold, you know,
Now, what led you outside of the Spike Lee book, like, or him confessing to Spike Lee that he was the main person behind Malcolm X's house being burnt? How did you know?
Well, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe that. Remember, I told you I didn't believe that the Muslims would burn the house up with his family in. You follow me?
Yes.
You know, I just didn't believe that, you know, that they would burn the house. You know, even the mob, you know, it was a different when the Italians, they wouldn't touch your wife and your kids. You know, then the Colombians and the Cubans came in when they started killing everybody. You know, the game was different. They killed your kids, they killed, you know what I mean? But, you know, you had that. I couldn't believe that, you know. I mean, they was upset. They had won the eviction. They had won the eviction. And it's probably what he said after the eviction that set off Yusuf Shah. Because remember when he came out, he said that Elijah Muhammad got girls pregnant as teenagers. And I think that set him off.
Right.
You know, like, man, hell, we're going to go after this guy right now. But I'm like I said, if I was grown enough, I would have went, but I wouldn't have never did nothing like that.
Right.
You know, man, kids, you know, his wife, you know. You know what I'm saying? You know.
And how did you know it was Yusuf Shah?
He said it in the book.
Yeah,
He admitted to it.
I'm talking about just, was there ever a conversation between you, him, or a third
party?
No,
I was surprised when I read it in the book that he said it. You know what I mean? But the statute of limitations was over for, I think, Austin. You know what I mean? But he said, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. Did I believe that he, like some people saying, he set his own house on fire? You can't believe that either because the man was buck poor. You know what I mean? And you got to have some place for your kids to stay. So I didn't believe it. Do I believe it? Yeah, they tried to get him many a times and stuff like that. You know, yes. But, you know, your kids, man, you know, your babies, man, you know, I mean, you know, I want to kill you and then dig you up and kill you again over my babies. You know what I mean? You know, somebody's babies, man, you know, but he said in the book, he said, I was surprised. I mean, Spike got a lot of information.
Right.
And one of the guys I was just telling you about that ass, he was a consultant for Spike.
Wow.
So he knew the names too. So he told Spike, yeah, this is such. He knew the names too. He knew He knew because he had soldiered with these people. You know, was the nation with these people. So you know, you know what I mean?
Did you know Linwood X?
I don't think so.
He was he died last year. Man, he said he was in the Audubon Ballroom. I thought because he's from Newark, New Jersey. I thought maybe.
Yeah, I heard that there was a guy there was supposed to be in an FY uniform and stuff.
AGURS.
Yeah, but
Linwood.
We would have never been there.
Okay.
They were there because they was assassinating them. You know.
Right.
But us be around them, man. I told you we didn't even say his name.
Right.
You know. So I don't know who that was. You know.
Right.
You know. You know, I don't, you know, to be listening to Malcolm, that means you was with him.
Right.
You know, I know there was a conversation with Ali outside the Teresa Hotel. It wasn't just in Africa where Ali was trying to convince him. And he said, I'm trying to get back. But that's when he went to, he tried to get out the airport and they wouldn't let him. You know what I mean?
So Muhammad Ali had a conversation with Malcolm X in front of on 125th Street.
In the car at the Teresa Hotel.
Okay, what year would you say this is?
This happened right after a couple of months afterwards. You know?
Okay.
The African thing, they blow it up because he didn't say nothing and anything
right.
like that. You know?
Right.
But he had a conversation. I knew brothers that was there with him
After the African incident.
Yes.
Africa incident.
Tried to get him to try to pull it back together.
Mm.
I think that's what I think Ali was trying to pull it back together.
Gotcha.
And then when it got bad, then he was like the rest of us and stuff,
Right.
Because a lot of people trying to equate that Malcolm raised him, which Malcolm didn't. He was a Muslim before Malcolm. He met Malcolm. You follow me?
Did you ever have any conversations with Muhammad Ali about Malcolm X?
No. By that time, we didn't talk about him. And then years later, when the Imam vindicated him, you know what I'm saying? They probably talked more about him and stuff like that. They vindicated him, but we didn't even mention his name, man. I'm telling you, man. We said what? The hypocrite, the hypocrite, man. You're going against our leader and teacher, man. Somebody we love,
Right.
It wasn't that easy, but he vindicated him. He sure did, he broke it down and everything,
Right.
He broke it down and stuff, He loved them, and he told them to tell the truth, and that was his leader. He told the truth.
Right.
He told us, and I
What's
know.
No, I'm continue. I'm sorry.
And they went the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And, and to see him, and he wasn't speaking. He was hot when he came out. He was not supportive of Imam Muhammad. You know what I mean? He was not supportive.
How about we're winding down now? I done kept you probably a little bit too long. Farrakhan. First, did you know Farrakhan's wife, Khadijah?
No, I would have never knew his wife.
Okay, gotcha.
In the nation, we didn't know each other's wives.
Okay, and you never had a relationship with Farrakhan?
No, only him being a minister.
And have you ever met him?
Oh, I've been on a scene with him. Yes, I mean, in the nation, I have. I didn't meet him. Like when I was around Butch and him, I didn't meet him. I met Jeremiah was around a lot.
Right.
Butch was one of Jeremiah's kids when he was a little, around the projects.
Uh-huh.
I knew Jeremiah a lot, but and Butch was very cool with Farrakhan because before he died, he was the Butch. All the stars said that if you want something from Farrakhan, wanted something, to go to Butch. Denzel, all them, Bob Johnson and stuff, anything they wanted. And they messed up because they came and said that Butch had me die. He said that they came to him, the brother said, yeah, we got a Mercedes that was a diplomat. They had made it for a diplomat, and it was $500,000, and we want to buy it for the minister for $250. So we want to buy what for the minister for $250? He said a car. He said, bro, you can't come to me for that. You know what I mean?
Right.
He said, tell the minister you can't come to me for that stuff. Just wasting money. You know what I mean? That's what I'm telling you. He was a frugal guy. Why are you doing that and stuff? When Butch built his house, he lived in a Retta Maga's house, a little 3-bedroom. You would have never thought he was living there. And he was a multi-millionaire. And then when he got money, he's the first one that I seen. He said, he took me to the land. He bought 3 acres and he put a 10,000 square foot house on it. He paid for it. Wow. We tried to make him put a mortgage on it. He did it, and then he went and paid for it. Then he had a house on the beach. He paid for it. That's just how he was. He paid for it. If he had a Mercedes, he paid for it. If he had a Bentley, he paid for it. He was paid for it. And he was tight with Farrakhan because Farrakhan called up for Jesse Jackson. I think it was '84 when Jesse Jackson was running.
Right.
And Butch had a problem with Jesse Jackson. Back in the early '80s, CBS Sports was only giving Bob and Aaron deals for boxing. Right. And they called Jesse in to picket the CBS. And I was just telling a story to a friend of mine. And they called Jesse in to talk it out. And they was out there picketing him. And they finally said, we ain't leaving here to Jesse. And somebody said, oh, he went out the back door in a limousine with a check.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the guy in New Orleans that was strong in the 9th district and everything was one of Butch's dudes. And Farrakhan called him and said he wanted him to work with Jesse. And he said, I can't do it because Butch got a problem with Jesse, what he did. And Farrakhan got it together and worked it out and stuff like that. So him and Farrakhan was close. Yes, they were real close. They were close and stuff.
Now, you said Farrakhan was a polygamist.
I think it's going to come out. Yes. Yeah, polygamist.
How do you know that?
just people talking. They say we're married to somebody's daughter, Sam. The captain, the minister Abdul's black mom. Remember he said he's married to my sister.
Yeah.
In that one video or something like
that.
that.
Yeah. I interviewed the son.
Yeah. He was a strong captain too.
Captain Sam.
Yeah, he's a tough man too. You got some tough men in the nation. Like,
for sure.
Tough man.
No,
Captain
for sure.
Sam. He's the one that really raised Ali. He raised Ali.
Did you have a family member that dated Elijah Muhammad?
No. I knew a sister that worked. Is she still around now?
She is.
As a secretary. Yeah.
Can we get in touch with her?
If she had talked to you, she'll probably talk to you. I'll give you a number. Let's talk to her. She'll probably tell you she was there and she said she didn't see the.
But I just want to know what it looked like.
Maybe I can get her to do it. I'll reach out for you. Give me about a week.
Okay, yeah, that would be awesome.
See if she talked to you and she can explain to you her position because she worked there as a secretary
in Chicago.
Because she told me herself. She said she didn't see none of that.
Really?
Yeah.
And she was of age when she worked there.
Yeah, she's 80 years old now. So you got to remember 40 years.
Catherine's her name, right?
It's a Catherine.
Yeah, man, that's interesting.
I'll reach out for her.
Please do, man, because that would be the only.
Yeah, because she was there.
Yeah, that would be the only woman outside of
Kalila was saying what is happening.
Kalila, that's it. Those are the only two women that's ever spoken, and
she told me I didn't see that.
That would be a timeless interview.
I went for Elijah Muhammad. I was a secretary. I said, "Wow, okay."
Wow.
Okay.
I would love to.
Yeah, I'll reach out for her.
Now, is she married now?
Catherine, she might be watching this. I'm gonna reach out for you for the brother. She's her daughters. Her daughters might be there and stuff.
Okay, that's
she did a wonderful job with her daughters. They went to school with my daughter went to school with them. They went to the finest prep school, and one went to Stanford. And one she did an excellent job. She retired.
Okay.
So she might be watching. So I'm gonna reach out for you and ask you to talk to Fred and stuff.
My final question: what's the difference between Martin Luther King and Elijah Muhammad?
Damn, that's a good question. Martin Luther King was a preacher, and Elijah Muhammad was a messenger of God. You see the difference? Martin Luther was a preacher. He was a reverend. He wasn't even a bishop. He wasn't even a bishop, right? But Elijah said he was a messenger of God.
That's funny. That's funny.
God told him, but I'm just telling you the difference. So the makeup is different. And when they met, he was, Elijah was talking to her. Yeah, you're a nice preacher, man, but you talking to the messenger of God, man. Sitting there all pious and stuff like that,
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
That's the difference.
That's really funny, man.
But I'm gonna beg Catherine to talk to you because she can give you insight in the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to know what it looked like inside it. What was the daily functions, daily activities? Who came? Who didn't? And she probably was around with. She's 80.
She's 80 now. 81. To be 81 this year. 81. Because her and my brother grew up together and stuff. They all grew up
80. So that would make her 1950. So she was around with Malcolm X.
She was there.
She was there. And I would love to do that. So yeah. And now, briefly talk about your school.
Mm-hmm.
Is it K through 8 or 9 through 12?
It started off from pre-K to 12. And then the charter schools came in. And
right.
It dwindled it down. And then we became mainly a high school. Then we became more of an at-risk high school.
Got it.
And now it's more of a adult. It's adult high school. And, I don't like to take kids over 16. Under 16. And I still work on the athletes.
Got it.
Not for eligibility, but to keep them eligible, because in New Jersey you got to have 27 credits per year. Right. So say a lot of them, they can be the best athletes in the world. They don't understand.
I get it.
Together,
I get it.
They don't understand it. So you only pass 2 classes the whole year, but you're a hell of a football player, basketball player. So they'll send me down and and do it over the summer and try to get them right.
Right. Now, do you have to be a resident of New Jersey to enroll in your school, or can it be nationwide?
No, nationwide. About a third of my population is in New York. But let me tell you something different. Let's talk. But this is something different.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about, and you should know about this.
Yes.
Where the students are reclassified.
Yes.
It's big in New Jersey and New York.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, they're going from the 8th grade back to the 7th.
Yes.
Oh, you know about it?
Yes, I do. Uh-huh.
Because like they would do that with your son.
Right. Right.
They would do that with your son.
Right.
And I got a couple of kids from New York, and this way I heard there's some of them the best in the nation.
Yeah.
And they wanted me, they were in the 8th grade, and they're like, no, we want to go back to the 7th grade. Well, you couldn't do that in a public school.
You can't do that in the public school.
Can't do that in a public school. They like,
no, they rush you through.
Yeah. So I had about 18 of them.
Wow.
I had about 18 of them reclassing. And some of them, they was telling me, like, some kids they brought in from New York. They said they live in Missouri and everything. They say some of the best 7th, 8th grades in the country.
Okay, now the reason why I asked you this is because I mean, we could help with enrollment as well. Like, so for example, so you have the ability to do middle school.
Yes, but I don't like it.
You don't like it.
I don't like it because you got to babysit.
Now, is it online or no?
No, you can't do it online.
Oh, see, you don't have no online.
No. You can't. I don't want to babysit. I babysit before. I used to get to my school at 6:30 in the morning and leave at 6:30 at night.
Yeah.
I don't want to babysit. And man, they became my kids. I remember little kids, they would hurt themselves and stuff, and they'd be crying, and I would come up and stuff, man. And I said, "You gonna be all right?" They, okay, brother, I'll leave. I'm gonna be all right, I mean, they would touch you, man. But man, I lost millions of dollars of property over that love for the kids. And I lost reward for it. I mean, I've been telling you, man, it touched your heart and stuff. But I just want to deal upper high school and adults. And this reason why I took these reclass, because they're in New York, and I have a teacher that's working with them as a coach. You know what I mean? They work and they reclass, and that's something new that just came in. I had like 19 of them and stuff.
Wow.
I was like, what the hell is this? Well, I seen it in the white areas, but that was for academic reasons. To reclass. Back then they would reclass because there was a lot of kids in my son's school that was much older than him. Right. And then some that was, we had a kid that came out of there, man, that was a baseball player. I forgot what's his name, Rick or something, whatever. He making $30-40 million right now. What I mean? Stuff that,
have you considered doing something online?
Yes and no. I got to figure it out first, and I got to sit my son down. He's a data guy. He's selling data to companies.
Got that.
Yeah, they got an office in Amsterdam and New York.
Yeah, because if you can do online, then you can cater to all 50 states, right? Yeah, that would be.
Let me think about it.
Because that reclass is a big deal.
It's a big thing. It's a big thing.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah, especially as they playing ball and stuff. Ain't that something?
It's a huge deal.
Because I seen like a little nephew of mine. He's an A student. He's in the 7th grade. His mother said, "You better not think about reclassing. Right. I'll beat your butt and stuff." He's a good little ball player too.
Right.
Like I know what I'm looking at, and you do too.
Right.
I can't sit down and you running down being Dr. Allen Iverson and stuff like that. I got to see some kind of organization. Right. I got to see defenses. I got to see plays. If I don't see that, I can't watch. I got to see what defense you running and stuff like that. How you practice it and stuff like that. Yeah.
Because my son, we did a camp out here, and he's the best. He's the best kid in Southern California in his class.
Wow.
Right? Yeah.
They'll be coming after you in a minute. They probably coming now.
Oh yeah, all the Nike teams and Adidas teams have to,
Yeah,
but I'm not.
That's good, man.
He's so young. He's in the 4th grade.
That's good.
And I don't want him doing a national schedule so soon.
Yeah, because they do it, man. They do it.
Yeah.
It was one. Let me tell you how weird it was. It was a student of mine that played ball on my team, and he called me for his son. And then there's and what I also found out, who's financing the big NBA stars are financing AAU now.
Yeah. Yes.
That's becoming a team.
Yes.
That's becoming a team.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So it's that's a new thing.
Not every class, and if you could do it online, is
Yeah,
big. When I
yeah,
say it's big business, it's big business. Yeah.
right.
And the Department of Education, you get your funding through the Department of Education,
No,
right?
you don't get enough for private school. I'm tuition driven all the way.
Okay,
They
tuition.
can't give private school nothing. They give me money for security. They give me computers, technology, and stuff like that.
Right.
A nurse or something like that. They don't fund private schools. That's what people don't understand. Charter schools are public schools.
Right.
People think charter schools are private. No, it's charter. So that's all they give us and stuff. You can have 1,000 students. So like doing the pandemic. The COVID thing, right? They bought me 100 computers, laptops. And I appreciated that. They gave me 100, and they let me clean. They sent somebody to, pay somebody to clean the school up every week.
Good.
Take back and stuff like that.
Okay.
All right, my brother.
No, I totally appreciate you, man. And
what mission is Catherine's?
Man, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
I'm gonna ask her.
No, please do. Please do.
I'm gonna ask her.
Yeah, and I appreciate you
spending. You don't have enough perspective because she was in the house.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And I think the world. I think historians need that. Right. It's not me; it's the historians, right?
Right.
Because the people that are going to watch these interviews, it's going to be movies made off of your interviews.
Yeah.
That's just reality. Because when everybody die, William Bradley is going to be found guilty of this crime. Like, that's just what they do. That's just what they do.
Yeah.
Just like they're going to open up the books on Martin Luther King now. You know, and they're going to open up the books on Elijah Muhammad when his kids die, because they don't want the suing. Now, you can't sue when everybody's dead. So so I think that's literally what's going to happen. So
okay, my brother, I'm glad you offered my champ.
No, you gave me a great perspective on him. You gave me a great perspective on him, and I'm looking forward to him graduating from high school.
I'm gonna offer it to him.
Yeah, my mom was like 35 or 40 when she got her high school diploma. So
look what she did.
Yeah, exactly. So please tell him that, and he got to get something named after him, so the kids see it when they walk in,
Okay. All right.
Appreciate you.
All right, my brother.
Thank you, dog.
Okay, man.